All right. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Dark Tower Palaver, episode 174, Roundtable 174, I should say. Here in the lovely month of April. A ways into it, too. We're almost halfway through April at this point. So, pretty wild, but it's just the way the cookie crumbled with this month. So, let's go ahead and hit the intro and jump on into the full-on episode here.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland, to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
All right. Hello, and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver, Roundtable number 174. My name is Tad.
And I'm Peter.
And we're here, to chat all things Dark Tower Palaver and all things King. So, I don't remember how we left the tragic book club that we ended, but I do think that
Not well.
I do think that maybe in the Palaver section here we might have to discuss the Rhea versus Cordelia. I know we're not through it all the way in the book club yet, but in a roundtable setting, we fully know what remains of the story. And
I would like to postpone that.
I don't know.
There's something with Rhea that happens.
No, I know, but we are.
I want to cover it. Though.
We already know that from that.
I know we know it, but we haven't done it in a book club, and I want to do it justice. I don't want to shortchange anyone. I think we got to wait till the clock hits 0, and we finish the story. We can't jump the gun on it.
Oh, I think we can.
No, I think we got to wait. I think we got to wait.
I mean, we could revisit it, but I think now that the event.
I mean, you're talking about leaving out one of the biggest things for the argument for Rhea is not being covered in the book club first and having the revisiting the debate.
Yeah,
I think we should wait.
I
think we should wait.
Because ultimately, even when we have the discussions, usually Charlie Tree is the thing that comes up more than anything. So.
Obviously, that comes up. But I think that we're going to have some, I mean, at least I feel like I'm going to have some thoughts covering that. I mean, obviously, we could say it. What Rhea causes Roland to do with his mom.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I think we could even just revisit, if that changed anything. Because I just think that now we're in a pretty good spot of also, which actually, one of the first things we're covering after the announcements is March Insanity, and it is kind of interesting how the timing worked out on, on that. So let's hit the intro stuff real quick. We're getting all kinds of shenanigans right off the foot.
I'm just here for the tangents.
So first of all, spoiler warning: this is a roundtable, so that we will spoil things freely of the 7 primary books of the Dark Tower series, and who knows what ancillary King things pop off to. You never know. So
yeah.
I don't know. At the same time, when it comes to the rest of King, I just don't feel like spoilers are that big a deal. Like, King doesn't write for surprise and awe, right? It's not like an M. Night Shyamalan movie where it's going to ruin,
right,
a given book or story because you know that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
like Flag dying.
He always comes back.
He hasn't yet. So
he always comes back, sir.
Pop those eyeballs out and feed them to a spider.
We are ready for a good Flag revisiting. I think it'd be a good time to see him coming back. I mean, we do have a book coming out in October that would be an ample opportunity for Mr. Flag to show up.
Sure, as long as it's before book 7, because he dies in book 7. So
yeah, he dies at the end of the stand too. It doesn't stick, sir.
I mean,
it never sticks.
I don't know about dies at the end of it. I think that he teleported before the blast. I don't think he died.
No, he didn't get out. He started to transform and transfigure into something else, but the bomb clearly went off, and he was caught up in it. So, and that's why he has that, that momentary confusion as he wakes up on the beach, just like Roland. And I will also say, the Dark Tower series does end with Flag alive. The Man in Black
fled across the desert, and the gunslinger follows.
See, he always
unless it's a different Man in Black. I mean, we talked about Eddie, Jake, and Susannah might be different, and Oi might be different. Well, maybe the Man in Black is different. What if it's not Walter he's chasing? What if it's Cuthbert who turned evil and killed Susan?
Because that's like not part of the loop.
I was just waiting for the slander. Like how dare you say that about Cuthbert? But not defending your boy. Okay.
I mean, if Cuthbert aligned with Flag, now we're talking about a great team up
he's
there,
chasing.
so.
He's just chasing Jonah. He's chasing Ermont. The Man in Black is the snake.
Slithers through the desert, and the gunslinger follows. And next up we have you can find us on Apple Podcasting, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible when it comes to streaming side, and any podcasting service of your choice. If you're still using a traditional podcast app, which I actually still do. Then if you want to subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we'd appreciate that. Then over here at YouTube, you can find us at youtube.com/DarkTowerPalaver. If you want to join us for the live streams, we're live streaming live every other week, as well as you can watch all the old stuff. We also have the short content and stuff. Of course, March Insanity had some updates we're going to be covering here in a second with Peter, but you guys have already heard me kind of recap the last 2 rounds, I think, or 3 rounds, something like that on here on the YouTube side. And then the show notes, you can find them over at darktowerpalaver.com. You can find the links for all things we cover in these episodes, as well as the link to pretty much all things Dark Tower Palaver. We have all of our links over there. And then you can find, if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. With that, at every level of membership, you get access to our Discord servers. You can chat with us all the time during the week. Send us some Ermont remembrances, on like a nice Thursday afternoon. That's always a fun thing. Or reminding Peter that Jake was viciously attacked by a Billy Bumbler on a bridge.
He was not attacked by any Billy Bumbler on a bridge. That is slander.
No, and then of course you get access to our monthly hangouts at every level of support. We just did one yesterday where I rewatched for the first time in probably decades, and Peter watched for the first time Apt Pupil.
Yeah.
So we discussed that. That'll be posted about the same time this whole episode is posted in the podcast feeds. And then at the highest level, you get a co-host a show with us. And if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
The best way to reach us is through email. It's show@darktowerpalaver.com. Haven't had an email for a while. Have we?
No, I feel like ever since we started doing the live streams, the emails did slow down
off,
quite a bit, because I think now people can be part of the conversation real
That's
time.
True.
But
That's true.
I think it's probably been a few months or so for sure.
Threads and Instagram, Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then our Blue Sky is at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we're also on the Twitter. It's at Dark Tower Pod. That's at Dark Tower POD. Find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/users/darktowerpalaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is Terrible shirt, sticker, gym shorts, hat, phone case.
Yeah, you can
fanny pack.
You can spread your slander in any direction.
It's not slander, sir.
Oh,
it's been scientifically proven. You are terrible.
Nah,
you are terrible. And the little tag that you gave yourself in our group text, not falling for it.
What was it, beloved angel or something like that?
Beloved is definitely one of them. I'll
and it's definitely true.
It is not in any way true. Innocent and beloved angel. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
No, I don't think so, Ted.
Look that up in the dictionary. My picture's next to both of those words.
Anti.
Oh, man. All right, so let's jump on over then. So we got March Insanity. Let me jump the slide over here. So March Insanity 2026 is now in the books. I do apologize. I did not get around to doing the final video. I think until the 2nd or 3rd, I think. It was pretty much, it was a few days. Life is quite busy. If I had hair, it'd be quite messy most days, I think. So, but yeah, got that in the books, though. March Insanity 2026. Of course, we are covering on the Dark Tower side, most tragic Dark Tower character. And then the non-Dark Tower Stephen King side, we have most beloved character. The Dark Tower bracket, this is our 6th annual bracket. And then on the non-Dark Tower side, on the Stephen King side, it is our 2nd annual. So we just started that last year. So where we left off, and this is where the thing is going to be up on the screen. So I don't know if you.
I'm off.
Okay.
I'm off.
Let me change the slide over here. So jumping on over here to the Dark Tower side, where we left off last time, we were in the final few days of the second round, where we had Jake Chambers facing off with Allie, Eldred Jonas versus Roland, Susan Delgado versus Father Callahan, and Gabrielle Deshane versus Eddie Dean. So, and then on the King side, we had John Coffey versus Daniel Torrance, Gordy LaChance versus Richie Tozier, Beverly Marsh versus Nick Andros, and Ben Hanscom versus Sadie Dunhill. So that is where we left off last time we talked on the episodes. It is.
Oh.
I went and did the double check on the dates because we didn't cover it last time because we were in a book club. So there would have been no discussing such things in a book club, especially most tragic character. That would have been, well, I guess we could have talked about it at the very end of the episode.
We didn't have time. We had so much to cover in that episode.
Well, it would have been very coverable at that point. But, and then, so the results for that round were jumping on down here to the Dark Tower side. So Jake took that poll 68% to 32% over Allie. Any surprise there?
No.
I mean, Allie did.
Feels so familiar though.
Allie did.
So weird.
No, we talked about setting this round up. Because I do also remember
maybe that's what it is.
Because I remember talking about like the next bracket down is Roland versus Eldred, and we kind of mentioned like, oh, isn't that a fitting matchup there?
Yeah.
So yeah, no surprise there. So moving down once again to the next round or the next one down, Roland once again defeats Jonas. This time 78% to 22%. So pretty handy victory there. I don't think that anyone's necessarily surprised there, right?
No.
So then we jump over to the other side, and Father Callahan versus Susan Delgado. This one wasn't even close.
Didn't think it would be.
90% to 10% for Susan. So
is that our biggest? Do you remember our most lopsided?
I don't. I believe this is our most. No. This is not our most lopsided this time. Actually, actually, maybe for this round it is. I'm sorry, but not. Yeah, like there because we're obviously covering a couple rounds here. And then Gabrielle Deshane upset Eddie Dean 69 to 31. So that one surprised me a bit. I mean, Eddie was on the outside, so he would have been the favorite, although Eddie did pull an upset because he went up against someone more nominated in the first round. But his luck ran out there with Gabrielle, as you kind of alluded to earlier with obviously Gabrielle has quite the tragic story going on there. So and then jumping down to the non-Dark Tower side, to the Stephen King side, John Coffey put down Daniel Torrance 64 to 36. And then Richie handily defeated Gordy LaChance 78 to 22.
My boy.
Any surprises there in those two sides?
No.
And then my wording here might be on purpose. Beverly blew Nick away 80 to 20%.
Oh man.
80 to 20. So that was a handy victory there.
Dang.
Oh, brutal. And then Sadie's Cinderella story continues as she bests Ben Hanscom 69 to 31.
Wow.
So
Ben,
yeah,
and pretty handily too.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm also on the screen. I'm not flipping over to the. I guess I have both brackets, so I can flip back and forth. So yeah, that's showing us the one side here, the Stephen King side. Then I can jump back to the Dark Tower side as we're about to jump back to that now. So then we move to our final four. With our final four matchup, we then had Jake Chambers versus Roland Deshane.
That's a heavyweight fight.
That's a huge one. And then on the other sides, Susan Delgado versus Gabrielle Deshane, the two women in Roland's life. So that's an interesting thing there. What's your thoughts there?
That's tough. Both of those matchups are tough.
Yeah, and then on the Stephen King side, we had John Coffey versus Richie Tozier.
Ooh.
So Richie now going against the number one most nominated person. And then Beverly Marsh versus Sadie Dunhill. So obviously the second most nominated person going up against the Cinderella story. So that's the matchups that we're looking at now. So let's jump on down here. So Roland dropped Jake down a hole. 68%
again
to 32%. So yeah, Roland takes the victory there, moving into the finals, into the final matchup there. And then Susan absolutely destroyed Gabrielle 95 to 5.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, I think, but that I think the percentages surprised me a little bit there. That's pretty stout there.
That is a blowout.
I think
in all sense of the
I
word.
want to say in the most hated in the very first March Insanity, we may have got a 91 to like 9%. I want to say it was like Rhea beating someone in the most hated.
I think
like
it
in
was,
the early
was
rounds.
Was it it was someone like Gasher, wasn't it?
Something.
It's
Yeah.
like Gasher's bad, but
yeah, but
he's no Rhea.
yeah. And then jumping over to the Stephen King side, Richie upset the most nominated John Coffey, 84-16.
My boy Richie.
So that
beep beep Richie.
That was kind of an upset. But then in an even bigger stunner, Sadie Dunhill beat Beverly Marsh.
Really?
58-42.
I mean, I'm saying really,
it's a tight victory,
yeah.
but yeah, that I again, every victory she's had here has been like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't have bet on her on any of these. And I mean, after the first one, I was like, we got to watch her because you never know now at this point. But to upset Beverly, because obviously outside of John Coffey, Beverly was the most nominated. So, so that leaves our final matchup on the Dark Tower side being Roland versus Susan. So, and then on the Stephen King side, we have most beloved Richie Tozier versus Sadie Dunhill.
Well, you know who I voted for there.
Do I now?
You do.
What about the Stephen King side? As I'm jumping back here, so Roland versus Susan.
I understand the argument for Roland being the most tragic with the purgatory that he's trapped in, but I can't not say that Susan's more tragic. I have to say it.
Yeah.
Especially after just covering it in the book club and everything.
Yeah.
Susan's more tragic for me.
Yeah. And then what about the on the Stephen King side?
I mean, come on. It's not even a question. You know who I voted for. That's what I was talking about. You know who I voted for there.
So I will say I did have this whole thing programmed out, so it all basically handled itself, which is good because with as slow as I was at some of this stuff, it's probably good that we would have lost days probably a couple times because in the old days I had to go and re-edit the polls and stuff. But the one issue we've had is it did not show us percentages for the finals. I don't know why. But what I requested, because I just used AI, I'm just like, code this for me and, because I don't know coding well enough. So it did the percentage, did everything I asked, but for some reason the finals, it just showed us the winners. It didn't show us percentages. So I will try to get that fixed for next year for sure. But that sucks to not have percentages. But we do have our winners, though.
How much did they win by? We just don't know.
Yeah, that's unfortunately what we don't know.
Was it a buzzer beater or was it a blowout?
Yeah, sadly. And I was really bummed when I saw that was missing. So I haven't been able to like dig in. My problem is that like you code it and then you like put it in and it goes through and does like the stuff. So I don't think I can change the code and insert it back in without losing the results. So I'm not necessarily, I don't know if there's any way to find it, unfortunately. So sadly, it's one of the growing pains of the new polling system here. So, but Susan Delgado win the poll. So taking the victory in the crown, I don't particularly find this a surprise. How about you?
No.
I feel like she's kind of the heavyweight that you would expect to be there in the finals.
If you have a Dark Tower dictionary and you look up the word tragic, there's a picture of a
of Char Yutri.
Of Char Yutri right there,
And I think that like some of my like thought process on this too, when it comes to like not necessarily even how I voted, but like how I wonder if the audience looked at it from the perspective is like most of Roland's tragedy is kind of his own doing. And like, I'm not going to say Susan had no agency because she certainly made her choices, but like, I don't know. I feel like she was way more of a victim of circumstance than Roland ever was.
There was a lot of talk between Susan and Roland there in the middle part of the story, the flashback story, where is it Ka? Is it destiny? Is it fate? That kind of thing. And I just got to a part, I'm listening to Black House. I just got to a part in Black House where Speedy Parker's talking about, he literally says the word Ka, and he says, that means fate and destiny.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, that's like you break it down, that's what Ka means.
Yeah.
100% agree. So it's kind of like, is that what it is for her? Like, there is nothing she could have done. I mean, that's the way she makes it sound in several parts of the book.
But she's always very apprehensive to actually like, because she almost says like to hell with Ka, like I control my own, like whatever. Like I don't think she's as bought into it as some people are.
Just because she's not bought into it doesn't mean that she's not controlled by it. She can believe it or not. That doesn't change.
It depends on if you believe in it.
That's what I'm saying. Is that's what the character can say that. I don't believe in fate. I don't believe in
or
destiny.
Nick saying he doesn't believe in God,
or he doesn't believe in God and everything like that. It's like, yeah, but we kind of see some stuff that tells me otherwise, bro. Like that's where it comes down to, is that the character could say that, but I'm not the character. I'm outside that, so
yeah,
I know.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I will say too is like, I think that like where would you say Roland's greatest tragedy is? In like that, in those, I mean, is it the entirety of the thing, or is it like those final moments at the top of the tower that truly define his tragedy?
I don't think that's top three. I don't think that's the top two. I think the two biggest tragedies in Roland's life is what happened to Susan, and that he was played by the ball. He should have never trusted the ball. He should have known better.
Yeah,
I think that's honestly like that is such a tragedy, because think about the loss there, like. The tower and his damnation and everything like that, he's already lost Susan. So that means that every time he goes back, he has to relive that every single time. Wizard and Glass telling them the story and everything like that is part of it. So you have to reopen that wound every single time.
Yeah.
On top of that, the end of that story, which I think that is, and this is the reason why I want to wait on the debate between Rhea and Cordelia revisiting that, is because I think that a lot of people focus so much on Charcuterie and they forget about what happens with Gabrielle. That Roland guns down his own mother because Rhea tricked him. It was not he was fooled by the a evil ball that's the wizard glass and everything like that. He was fooled by a witch who did it vindictively to get back at him for a fucking snake. And he gunned down his own mother. The worst part...
You put respect on Ermot's name, sir.
He's a fucking snake. I mean, literally a snake for fucking. That's, he's a fucking snake.
He's a very slimy snake.
No, it's dry down there, so absolutely not. We're not going there. And that is, you know what?
Disgusting.
Stop it. And that's why I think that what happens with Gabrielle and what happens with Susan, that's the two most tragic things in Roland's life. I honestly, you might make the argument of the third one being dropping Jake. There's an argument to be had there because that's what dooms him. But the Dark Tower, what happens there is like, I don't see that necessarily as like tragic. That's like, damn, you kind of reap what you sow, man. But the other things, especially Susan and Gabrielle, I don't put that on him. Jake, I do. The Dark Tower, I do. So that's kind of like, that's where you're saying like, it's kind of his own doing. So that's where I wouldn't put it as much like tragic. I look at tragic as like, man, there was nothing he could have done. Susan, is there really anything that she could have done differently? Even if she, let's play the game. Even if she's just like, dude, screw you, Roland. I never want to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Which she did say 3 times. Roland, no means no. Come on, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
She's still going to end up being the Jilly for the mayor.
No, yeah, no,
not exactly a great life.
No, she didn't really have a lot of like good options by any means. So, yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting because like I was gonna say though towards like Susan, like to give her more credit is if you do look at Roland's like damnation as part of it. The only thing is he only has to experience that for a couple seconds.
Yeah,
in a conscious way, right?
Like, that's the thing is
he is repeating it, but he doesn't really know he's repeating it, except for like that 10-15 seconds, like
when he's being sent back to the desert.
Yeah,
and then it's gone, and he's not going through that ache constantly.
Yeah,
and that's where I would say, what happened to Susan? What happened to Gabrielle?
What about
that's fresh in his mind?
What about Gilead
throughout
and the world?
Oh yeah,
like in terms of like being I feel like some of the tragedy in Roland is like that. The fact that he is kind of that last bastion of this fallen world, like. I don't know. There's something tragic about that, right? Someone that's someone that's dedicated and even tied to bloodline to like that old world, and you're still around lingering. Like that's it's kind of gets to like the whole Green Mile aspect with I forget his name now. Was it Paul?
The guard, yeah.
the main guy.
Tom Hanks's character.
Yeah, like he ends up like, what is he, like 100 and something crazy years old?
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, and now, it's like, it's that kind of thing. But I don't know.
I know exactly what you're talking about. There is a real world person who was interviewed 2015, 2016, somewhere around there, 10, 11 years ago. They were like the oldest person on North America. There was an older person in, I think, Asia and China. But they were interviewing her and they were like, how is it to be 125 or something like that? And she's like, kind of sucks. Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like-
even Mother Abigail.
Yeah, Mother Abigail
has
also
that,
says
too.
that.
Yeah, like she outlived
she
most
buried
or all of her
4
kids.
husbands, all of her kids.
Well, some of that was because of Captain Trips, but yeah, she she outlives her kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So, although Homer Simpson would say, oh no, I don't get to outlive my children like every parent wants to do.
The exact opposite of what good parents say.
Oh, good
no
old Homer.
No parent should ever outlive their kid.
Hey, don't quote Theoden to me.
It's true.
It is
It's
true.
the one thing he got right.
Theoden got some stuff right.
No.
He has the best speech in Lord of the Rings.
Theoden?
Oh yeah. The Pelennor Field thing, greatest speech in the Lord of the Rings.
No.
Oh, 100%.
Aragorn.
Not even fucking close, man. There's nothing
Yeah.
else. I don't think there's maybe even a better piece of dialogue in that entire trilogy than Theoden's there. Gives me chills every time I watch it.
It's good.
Yeah. All right. So on to, unless you have more to hit on there. All right. So then on the other side here, Richie Tozier versus Sadie Dunhill, and of course Richie Tozier lost.
What?
Sadie won.
Sadie won it all.
We don't have percentages, sadly, again, but shocked me when I opened it up. I was like, oh my god.
Wow.
So yeah, apparently people love Sadie. I mean, I think you even commented with the nominations, like, how did she get nominated into this, but Jake didn't. Like the main character of the story doesn't, but she does. Like, you kind of. I'm not saying you were like completely opposed. It was just more of a comment you made of like, oh wow, really? Like Jake doesn't even get nominated in, but
no one else from 11/22/63 made it except her. So it's like,
yeah.
Apparently she's one of the best written.
Well,
characters,
I mean,
so.
Richie and Bev, right?
Oh yeah, I guess both of them were in 11/22/63, but that's not where they originated. They're having cameos.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty shocking. So the Cinderella story was complete. Very, very rare for that to happen.
That's what Martian
but
Sanity is all about, is those Cinderella stories coming out of nowhere.
I mean, I would say last year, both King ones have done that to us now. Because Patrick Hockstetter, none of us thought he was going to make it out of round 1 versus Henry Bowers.
No.
So,
but he did.
To make it out of that and then go and defeat every single person that he beat to actually win the damn poll. So it's like, on both sides now, the Stephen King one has actually thrown us pretty much someone from round 1 we didn't think would make it out actually made it all the way through. So pretty surprising to me. I don't know about you, but I mean, of course you're bummed because Richie's your boy. So
Richie is my boy,
and I'm sure
but
you
it's
voted.
okay. It's okay. You know what? If there's anyone to lose to,
and speaking of tragedy,
Sadie Dunhill.
If we ever do tragic characters for Stephen King, I mean, for one, that is going to be a tough pull.
I mean,
but for two,
does Sadie actually have a tragic?
You
have to realize we can't count anything that happens before that last reset.
No, I know, but
she never experiences any of that.
But I think I don't know. I always got the impression that the life that she led was fairly unremarkable and like.
Unremarkable.
Definitely not like it's all about her students and like the community and stuff. Like that's not.
Sometimes that's enough for people, man.
I don't know. Not after what we got to know about her though. Like
I think Jake would be more tragic. Imagine having all that, having her, having the past, and having to just leave it.
No, he's got some tragedy for sure. But with her, I don't know. There's always something that was always just sad with me about that. Because again, after spending nearly 1,000 pages with these characters, it feels bittersweet to me. Like in the sense of like, if she had gotten married and like had kids, like had a full thing, it would have been different. But there's just something about it that's just like, oh man, that's. But yeah, she's like rolling though, in the sense of she doesn't really have that conscious understanding maybe, but I don't know.
What's the famous quote? It's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all.
But for her, is it never loved at all then?
I mean, but she doesn't know it.
No, I know.
So that's where it comes down to, is like she has like this inkling with Jake when she meets him.
Yeah. Like she knows
for
him
the first time, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
So
And now I'm not going to say that's next year's topic. We're a long ways from picking that. But if we ever did most tragic king characters, that would be there's a healthy mix of characters that can fall into that one.
There's 7 of them in it alone.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, just all throughout his stories. I'll
just throw one out there, man. Eddie Corcoran deserved better.
Yeah, Georgie getting betrayed by his brother, and
oh my god.
Oh.
You're just the worst. You know that?
But yes, I don't have a slide for it, but March Insanity, of course, will return for 2027. We'll have both polls back. Join us later in the year as we lock in on on topics, and then starting into 2027, we'll do our normal cadence of sending in nominations to
usually beginning of December, about then is when we start saying, hey, this is what the topics are going to be. Start sending in your nominations.
No. We used to send out a thing of like, give us topic ideas, and then we'd lock that down with our year-end bash. Right. But we've been having people send us so many. We actually do have a good queue of like different topics. So I'm not sure. I mean, not to say that we won't throw out ideas for you guys to call out, but we're definitely not like hard up for them by any means. And yeah, but we will return. So yeah, March for sure. The year-end bash. We will be probably. Actually, I think what we usually do is we reveal our topics year-end bash, and then come January, you have January through February to get
your nominations,
to get the nomination, or all of January, because then February I take the time to make sure I build the brackets out and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So join us for March Insanity 2027. So let's see here. Let me go on over. So starting off with the old Flanagan corner here. This first one here, and I'm just going to go with the headline and get your thoughts here. The hardest Stephen King character to get right in Flanagan's Dark Tower series, and it isn't who you think. Because I'll say I think they got it wrong for me, because I feel like I immediately thought of who they're covering. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Hardest character to get right would probably be Susannah D. With Data and Odetta, and then Susannah. I think that's going to be the hardest one to get right. Do you do a wheelchair? Do you not do a wheelchair? Do you do an amputee? Do you not do an amputee? Yeah. I think that's going to be the hardest one to get right. A lot of people are going to say Roland. I think Roland's easy. Yeah. Honestly, I do. I think Eddie would be more complex than Roland. Roland is so easy.
I think Roland's going to be the hardest in the sense of like you've got to nail that casting, because you need someone that's got that gravitas. I think we both talked about it back in the day. I think Idris is a good choice for the role in the sense of he has that fucking gravitas, like in everything you see him, and it's like he just has an air about him.
Russell Crowe does not.
No, Russell Crowe does not. Javier Bardem does not, as much as he did great No Country for Old Men.
That's a different.
That was more the character than Javier himself.
Yes.
Like I'm not even sure if he necessarily had that air when he was the Bond villain. Even like I think he did a good job being a menacing, sinister person.
He was a great Bond villain,
but he wasn't one of those ones that took the air out of the room when he entered. And like that's what you need for Roland, is someone that's like the second he walks in, everyone fucking understands it. And like Idris Elba, even
like in walking into Tull, like when he walks into the bar for the first time and Allie sees him, it's just like
And Idris, I feel like I've seen that in multiple things. Luther, The Wire, and even like The Office. I feel like every time he's in he just pulls the gravity.
It's
and that's
he's in the scene. He's the focus.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't get put in background shots.
So beyond that aspect, I would say Roland's easy. Like you just got to make sure you have the actor that has that ability.
And I feel like you could easily fill that with 10, 15 actors, but finding someone who can pull off 3 different personalities. On top of that, you have to consider that maybe a 4th with Mia later on. So you have 4 different personalities.
Would you do Mia as the same actor?
Well, you have to. It's for part of it. Roland's watching her in Wolves of the Call crawl through the swamp. You can't have a white woman doing that if it's a black woman is the character.
No, but you'd have to cast a Mia though.
You would,
which actually would which then it comes into the point of like, hey, you have your Susannah actor, and they're obviously well established.
They have to play her.
Do you let that actor define the Mia, and then you find an actor that can actually replicate that, or do you bring someone in as Mia, and now that Susannah actor has to actually like add a new layer to her performance? I guess is my question.
I would go with letting who plays Susannah, because you're not going to have Mia until you're going to have Mia right around the time. No, you would cast them at the same time, and then they would work together to play.
Well, no, you're right. The Mia actor's not going to come in until years into the show for sure.
Well, yeah,
but
Mia doesn't come.
But what I'm talking
Mia
about
doesn't take over Susannah until book 5.
No, I know, and so that's where you wouldn't even worry about her till way later. But what I'm saying is, do you let like do you like? It's almost like the Forrest Gump thing, right? Forrest Gump or Tom Hanks like replicated the kid's accent because they didn't want to have to like try to get the kid to replicate his. So do you do something similar and like, you know, cast the actor for Mia and like work it out, or do you just let the Susannah actor define it all, and then you find an actor that goes, you now need to fill this exact role. You need to hit these notes acting wise.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna have a Mia actor when the actor who plays Susannah has to do the Mia parts. So they're going to be working.
No, I know.
Together.
I'm saying which actor do you think defines that role, and then the other one has to? Because the other one's going to have to replicate.
I think they work together to replicate, because that's the thing. Is like Tom Hanks worked with the child to replicate him, but when you have two adults that can both do it, what about if we both do this? Can we do this? I think you do both, not one or the other. Because then you build a character that is solid, you know, like and everything like that. Because if you bring them in at the same, if you bring the Mia character in at the same time that Susannah, now that's the question: do you bring Mia in at the start of book 5? You know, season 5. You know, let's call it that.
Well, you cast the actor for sure.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you do. I don't know if that happens until you don't reveal that until book 6. If you're doing the series, think about it. The only time that Mia really is present is when Jake goes Toadash and sees her in the dining hall eating the rat.
Yeah.
But it's really the pig in the barn.
Yeah.
And then you have Mia and Susannah's conversation right before the final battle, right before the battle with the wolves. That's easy to not do. You don't have her. You have her get taken over and disappear in like the after credits scene, like. You know, like the battle's over, Eddie looks around for his wife, and she's gone. Yeah. Cut, end of season, series finale, cliffhanger. Then you cast Mia for season 6. So then it would fall to the actress who plays Susannah to set the stage for the Mia actress.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's that is definitely gonna be an interesting role for sure. And yeah, Lupita Nyong'o, I don't know how to say her last name very well. But you know, that's definitely a pretty popular pick for Susannah. I think that is going to be one of the hardest acting roles.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this article is kind of going into like nailing the character, not entirely from the acting perspective, but almost even more from Flanagan's perspective.
Okay.
Like, and I thought this was an interesting write-up. So this is Matthew Jackson from Looper, March 28, 2026. So he starts by outlining the series was published across decades, includes thousands of pages, hundreds of thousands of words, and has so much lore that we likely have not reached the bottom of talking about all of it, even after decades of talking about it.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
literally why we're here.
Yeah, and he says to call it complex is an understatement. And again, I think that's what makes this series so magical. Because again, the fact that we're now 10 years in to the show here, and
it's still going.
Yeah. I think we're over halfway through the series of the book clubs now, though. Getting in the very tail end of book 4. I think so.
You got Wizard and Glass, sir. Not Wizard and Glass. Wind Through the Keyhole.
Yeah.
You got to consider Wind Through the Keyhole.
Yeah, I am. Eight books,
and
we're
not done with book 4.
We're at the tail end of 4, so
not done with 4.
No, but I think and somewhere I have like it actually calculated out, and I want to say that it does put us over half right when we get to the tail end of this. So, but the problem is
when we get to
but it's well over though, so I'm pretty sure we're past the halfway mark now of the entire
you
series.
Said that we got to halfway when we get to the end of book 4.
No, we have we're like 55% through the series. I went and did like the word count or something like that and did it. But the problem is I can't divide out the word count easily. So I just looked at, and when we jump into book 5, we're now at like 55% of the way through. So I would say it's pretty confident that we're at the halfway mark or beyond right now. So, yeah, and so he says calling it a complex series is an understatement. He then goes on to say that complexity extends to the characters of the series, and most of the characters are quite deep due to the amount of time we spend with most of them. And each of them develop, any number of layers. From that, he says the major characters will likely be the hardest to adapt, but some are trickier than others. And then he says he believes there's one that's the hardest one to get, and probably not who you'd expect. And you already gave your guess because I was going to stop and ask you there, but I didn't. I guess I asked you a little bit with the title there. But his answer is Jake Chambers.
It is going to be tough. It is because one kid, you hop on a soapbox every time, and I'm not meaning that in a derogatory way. You hop on a soapbox every time we bring up like casting Jake and how hard it's going to be because fucking kids, they grow up so damn fast.
Yeah. Well, they just can't get lazy.
Yeah.
When it comes to like whatever. I saw something.
No 4-year gaps in between
yeah,
seasons.
Yeah, I don't want a 30-year-old Jake by the end of it, like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he recaps the recaps the first book and how Jake is one of the few characters that's actually introduced in the novel. He points out that for Roland, he's kind of an obstacle and a burden, but for the audience, he's kind of the instant source of empathy and a touch point that we kind of use to go through and view Roland. And I think that's kind of a, I don't know. I'm not sure if I've ever really thought about that before, but yeah, Jake is kind of our window into this series, even though he doesn't show up, for a little ways in. But like, and then obviously I feel like, I don't know if King like understood like how important that was for Jake, and that's why like Susannah and Eddie are introduced in the next book. But it's like to have like somebody from our world or versions of our world in this story is pretty, I would say it's critical.
It is the classic storytelling, is you take a character, you thrust them into a world they know nothing about, and you learn about the world through their eyes, through their experiences.
Yeah.
Harry Potter does it, Star Wars does it. Luke Skywalker is thrust into the battle between the Empire and the
Frodo
Rebellion.
even.
Frodo's thrust into it. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, he finds out he's half demigod and is thrust into a world of Greek gods and stuff like that. It happens all across literature and movies and TV and stuff like that. It's a classic storytelling. Even Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Will Byers goes missing and everyone is thrust into that all of a sudden because of that.
Yeah, I mean, that one seems different because that one was almost like a mystery that the end, like we as the audience and them are learning it all like layer by layer. Yeah. First, I mean, we're learning the world. I get what you're saying, but I feel like the Stranger Things is more of a mystery and like we're with them learning it. I mean, I guess I could see how you can maybe see that as the same thing, but I almost feel it's different when you're injecting someone into a different world. I mean, Neo in the Matrix is the same, right?
Neo is a perfect example.
Yeah, he has to learn all about like what is this actual world and stuff. Yeah. Although I did just see a tweet like last night that was like, what's so genius about the Matrix though is that first like 10 minutes is it doesn't even try to explain anything to you. It just throws you in and goes, fucking hold on, motherfucker. And like you're just watching this shit happen. You're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yep.
And like, you know what? They're not wrong. So he talks about how by the end of the book, Jake is dead, seemingly a small bump in Roland's long road. But also by that point, he's already kind of starting to feel like a surrogate son. And that tension between the two is the first narrative hurdle in the book because it makes us feel conflicted about Roland, but also sets the arc for both characters for the rest of the 7 books. And King nails it and obviously walks the tightrope between those two things of like, is Jake a burden or is he kind of a surrogate son? Like it is kind of an interesting thing. And I think that I see where this writer's coming from is like, King walks that line really well, and Flanagan's going to have to deal with that in a different world, in a different realm, right? Doing a movie or a series, you have to play with that in a different way, and you just got to reach that balance right. And it's kind of interesting that, ultimately the Roland and Jake thing is kind of almost the underpinning of the entire series. Yeah. Like that relationship is kind of the underpinning of everything. So, So if you kind of get where he's coming from like, it's not even necessarily like the actor and like whatever else. It really comes down to like, you need to portray Jake properly, or parts of the story are going to get lost. You're going to kind of drop pieces of the story. So
and it's been critical. We've talked about the relationship with Roland and Jake is 100% gunslinger. Like that's the entire story. There is Roland finds this boy. Roland develops a relationship. Roland drops the boy. Like that's where it comes down to is that is gunslinger. So if you fumble that, you fumble the series start, you fumble the first season, you may not make it out of the blocks then at that point.
Well, and even if you don't fumble, but if you do it in a way to where you don't set it up with the exact nuance that King did, you might struggle in later seasons when some of the stuff that King laid out in book 1 as like a like it's like almost a skeleton, and then you build the meat on it as like the books go on, and I don't know, like so. And again, I don't doubt Flanagan by any means, but this is something that you got to be definitely handling with care because so much of like the foundation of this series, like spirit and soul, is built on Jake. And like the Roland's redemption and him going from Terminator to who we're kind of seeing now, even in our book clubs. We're getting close to it, but it's like I always think like, you know, like the little bit of book 4 we actually see of modern Roland, and then like early book 5, like that's what I always think about as like the
late book 3 too. You can't discount the stuff that happens.
No,
in
but
Lud.
I think he's still there's still some processing, like he's growing, but like the not almost night and day difference of Roland for me is the Terminator in 1, and then like late 4 early 5 is like that's
dancing the Kamala kind of thing.
That's two different characters in a lot of ways. I know it's the same character, but it's like that, like if you would have showed me like dancing the Kamala to me after I've just read the first book, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Like this
How
isn't
the fuck did that become that?
Yeah, or like you to your point, you can throw the scene of him hugging Jake after the salvation in 3, like that doesn't make sense. Like because Roland is so cold towards Jake in 1 that it's like for him to be so like embracing and like I'm never gonna let you drop, like again that kind of stuff, like that would almost seem like unthinkable. But again, that's the genius of King, is because he did slowly build this character to the point where when those moments happen, they felt right.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. Again, so you really have to make sure that Jake is established properly. Otherwise, you're going to be on shaky ground as you start to build some of this stuff in the future. So.
Agamorphy makes 2 good points here in the chat. He says, I think Flanagan will have to hire a younger and an older Jake. I trust him and his casting team after his Dr. Sleep choices. I could see him doing a younger and older Jake. I could also see him not doing an older Jake. Just one Jake. I could see him doing that.
I guess explain older to me. I guess I'm not fault because like Jake doesn't even hit a birthday during the course of the story. So what are we talking about?
Time's funny in the Dark Tower.
It is,
but
which is going to help Flanagan because he could just be like, time's weird. So this kid's.
You could try to explain that away, but the thing is that people are going to age.
No, yeah.
Every actor is going to age, especially Jake.
Yeah.
So you can't just be like, time's funny, and then have an actor who's aged 5 years. That doesn't work. So he can't just be like, time's funny. He hasn't had a birthday. He has a mustache.
No,
he was this tall. No, you know, he was like 4 foot nothing starting the series.
No.
All of a sudden he's 6'3".
You definitely remove it. I would change the context for if I were Flanagan to where it is actually going to be taking place over a number of years. Yeah. And so then Jake can actually age naturally. And if we do it year to year and not lazily and take fucking massive year breaks, then like you're talking about a 5 to 7 year window that this is going to be here. Call that a 4 to 5 year window that the journey takes. Like I think that's doable. I think that's like whatever. And then the time funny thing though is even if you want to now like stretch that and go, actually this is a journey that takes 3 years. But I think in the actual books it's like what 7 or 8 9 months, some crazy thing, like some low amount like that. But it's like it's easy in a book because we're all just picturing in our head, and King can just go, Jake's still 12, and but Flanagan won't have that ability.
No,
so
that's what I'm saying.
The older thing is what tricked me because I'm like, again, from the story's perspective, there's no older Jake. There's one Jake all the way through pretty much.
But it could be. That's where, like what you just said, is that it could take years. So you could have a time jump in between seasons, and that's where you introduce, especially what I would look at is maybe, but it doesn't work though, because even like book 5, if you introduce an older Jake, he's not the kid then with Benny Slightman Jr. Yeah. You still want the kid version of him there. But he also, Agamorphy also says, let's also consider that Flanagan doesn't have to film in sequence. Imagine going through and filming all the Jake stuff. Every scene with Jake.
I don't think that's possible because I think the only reason things like Lord of the Rings are able to do that is because they largely filmed everything before anything got released. And there's no studio on the planet
that'll do 7 seasons.
Is going to sign up for, I think he wants 5 seasons and then like 2 or 3 movies. But it's like no one's signing up for that before a single fucking episode releases. Like that's just not going to be a thing. And of course Lord of the Rings did their reshoots and stuff. I know that. But it's like, that would be probably ideal. But it's definitely going to be, and again, this article isn't even really talking about the age thing much. Like that's not the major, but I know we've all been stressing about it a bit because it's just like, like the way the story reads, this is like a maybe a 9 month. I think even 9 months. I think I'm way overshooting it. I think it's like 3 to 4 to 5 months. Like it's not a long journey. So, it took us 20 something years to get the books.
Feels like it took years for him to reach the tower because you don't know how long he's chasing the Man in Black and everything like that. But when you find out, people estimate, it took 3-4 months. I'm like, you ever walked across the desert? You ever walked across, Lud?
Yeah.
Like, I had to break it to you, but, walking is slow.
Yeah, I do think I do think to your point, so, not that the age is even part of this article as much, but I will say I do think the Benny Slightman thing is probably going to be the biggest challenge for Flanagan. So then the question becomes is like, do you have to recast the kid? Like think about like Life of Chuck, where you have like the two actors that looked close enough together. I don't even know if they were brothers or not, but they certainly looked like it because it was just like the young Chuck versus like that high school Chuck is just like they were like dead nuts on. They felt like the same person, just different age. So it's like, do you cast something like that where it's like you cast a kid that's like 12 or 13, but he has like a 5 or 6 year old brother, and then you can just swap them out.
Hi, I'll be reading for Jake Chambers today. How old are you? I'm 10. Great. And how old's your younger brother? 3.
We're gonna
perfect.
We're gonna heave ho your ass about midway through here. But again,
you're both hired. Both of us.
To what this article's getting at, though, is Jake is so foundational. I don't know if you could recast him. And I said that about the Mazzara thing for years, and I still maintain you just cannot, because we ended up getting it revealed that his plan was to recast. I'm like, how do you recast the lead of a show, man? Like that is like because remember we started with a younger role, and I'm like, do you do like makeup and shit to age him up? Because like I don't know in the history of TV if I know of a time that you've recast a lead, especially a singular lead like that. Like there's ensemble casts and stuff like ER that actors come and go and whatever, and like maybe a guy that was a little bit lower in the beginning becomes like the main guy over the course of it. But it's like to have like a singularly driven show like that Roland would be like the main, to then just jettison that actor and recast the guy, like that's wild.
It happened last year. Witcher.
Well, no,
Henry Cavill is out and Hemsworth is
well,
in.
that's different though. That's you're signing. I mean, that you lose your actor. That's one thing. I mean, we also have House of the Dragon, but that was not even like a full season. I think they did that specifically on purpose.
I mean, that was on purpose. But you're talking about a lead actor who was in the series for 3 seasons of The Witcher, and then they, for whatever reason, went with a different actor.
But it wasn't on purpose. I think every time they even I think even that show lost.
Who would choose to do it
exactly?
On purpose?
That's what I'm saying. Is like Mazzara was like planning up front. We're just gonna fucking jettison our lead after the first season and recast. I'm like. Yeah, like Witcher, everyone was pulling their hair out when that was happening. I guarantee it behind the scenes was like, dude, we cannot do this. You can't recast your fucking lead, man. That is like, that could be like poison to your show. Like, I'm guessing they probably lost a percentage of their audience where they're just like, I'm not watching it anymore. So, yeah, it's just, so.
When I hear the reasons why Henry left, I went, I'm out. I've never played a single Witcher game.
It was a book originally, right? Book, then games, then show. Right? Wasn't like a book series?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Games, book series?
I thought they were novels originally, like a fantasy novel and novels. Because I've kind of like made arguments to people that maybe Dark Tower should think of that same way and do a game to get a bunch of audience built and then almost make the show easier to make. But of course, now we're in a different reality. With Flanagan,
it's definitely book first, 1986.
Yeah,
no, 1990.
Okay.
Polish release date, 1990. He's a Polish guy? Hey, well done, Poland. Shout out Poland if we've never shouted them out on the show before. There you go.
I'm not sure. I think we have listeners there from like the maps from my podcasting stuff. I don't know if we've ever had an email or not from.
But hey,
even Eastern Europe, I'm not sure. I know we have some Western Europe emails we've had.
Shout out Poland.
Yeah. So I would also pause to say that since like the outside the series, King has overtly said that Roland's salvation and damnation starts and ends with Jake in the first book. Over the years here, we've talked about and analyzed a number of things in the final stages of Roland's journey and like, is that his salvation or not? But King's basically in the last couple of years overtly said like dropping Jake is like his damnation.
Yeah.
Like nothing else matters. Like that is where it needs to. That's where Roland's like either saves or doesn't save himself is that moment. And it's like, kind of interesting because like God, that fucking early, but
and that was one thing I remember bringing up is like when King said that, it's like, so none of the rest of it fucking matters. Like everything that happens with the Wolves, everything that happens with the Breakers, none of that matters.
Well, I think it matters, but not to his salvation necessarily. In the sense of like
his salvation,
he signed his soul away when he let Jake drop. Where it's just like you are now a piece of shit that deserves hell type thing.
Agamorphy says, weirdly, Interview with the Vampire on AMC recast their Claudia.
Oh, yeah?
Damn.
I actually didn't know there was a show about Interview with the Vampire. I just remember the movie back in the day.
Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, indeed.
And what's her name?
Anne Rice is the author, right?
Yeah. No, the little girl that's in it. She became someone.
Is it Dakota Fanning or something like that?
No, it's younger than that because it's like early 90s Interview with the Vampire. It's like I want to say Drew Barrymore, but it's not Drew Barrymore. Like one of those. Kristen Dunst.
Oh, okay.
That's the one.
One thing that made me think about this is we see the transformation from Roland around book 3, where he begins to start, kind of, and then by the end of the final 3 books, he's fully established as this different Roland. I alluded to this earlier, and I apologize. This may be rehashing my primary view on the ending, but what if Roland is slowly chipping away to salvation every loop, and maybe his change is progressing towards his salvation is getting earlier and earlier in every journey? Because again, now I'm recontextualizing my thoughts on the end through that line of King. And I know it's a tangent for what this article's saying.
Sure.
But it's like, is it a whole thing where it's almost like a progression where like his salvation and his like change is moving earlier and earlier, and it needs to get to the point where it moves so early that he chooses Jake over the Man in Black. And is that, but which means it's basically has to get about as far back as you can go, which is where I think the hope of the horn comes from. Because it's like, if Roland now has the sentimentality to pick that horn up, then like maybe he has the sentimentality to not let Jake drop. So it's like, again, because I've always thought about it, you just got to forsake the tower at the end. But it's like now recontextualizing some of my thoughts about the ending with King's words. It's like, are we literally just waiting for that transformation of Roland to progress earlier and earlier in the story until he'll actually just pick Jake over the Man in Black?
It's just so interesting to think about. Okay, so I really wonder what it would look like if it's something we've never asked. What if Roland picked Jake over the Man in Black?
Here's
what happens then?
Yeah, and here's what I'm going to say, because
they turn back, they go back through the slow mutants, right?
I think they keep pursuing, but I think like Flag tries to set it up in the dichotomy where it's like you either come now or you lose me forever. But I think like there's a few things about that. One, how confident are you that you can actually lose Roland forever? But two, Flag is so like what's the like itchy and scratchy in the sense of like almost cartoonishly like toying with Roland, that it's like, do you think it's in him to actually truly follow through on that threat of like,
what about if he's just flat out lying?
That's what I'm saying. Because it's like, I just feel like he's like
being a bad guy.
It's almost the sense of like, I just don't know how, like, it's almost like you complete me type thing. Like they're two sides
Joker
of the same
and
coin.
Batman thing.
Yeah. And so it's like
Joker gets pissed when people threaten to expose Batman's secret identity. He's like, no. That takes the fun out of the game. This is the Man in Black's thing. Is like, I want him chasing me.
Yeah,
it makes me feel special.
Exactly, and there's and maybe that's the right like mentality. But it's like I've always kind of wondered that, where it's just like, why do we trust Flag's like threat there, and why does Roland? And maybe Roland shouldn't trust it at all because he knows very well that like
I think it comes down to like what I think of, especially when you look at the scope of book 1 and where you see rules start to get defined. I look at like the speaking ring. The speaking demon, the ring with the I just spaced on it. The one that tries to kill Jake. That circle.
The
what's it called? There's a name for it. Agamorphy, help me out here. There's a name for it. Roland takes the pill, goes in. There's the demon in there. What's that circle called? He calls it something. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah,
but like the succubus, right? But like the circle. I thought there was a name for it.
I think I don't know,
but we start to see like rules defined where it's like Roland is like demanding information from her and she has to give it. Like there's rules. So I wonder if there's something that there's like a rule that if Roland catches him, he has to, as a magician, as a magic person, if asked about the Dark Tower, he has to speak it. That's Flag's curse kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why Flag wants the cycle broken, is that he's like, fuck, I want out of this. I don't want to be the guy who tells him about the Dark Tower, because every time he tells me about the Dark Tower, I get a fucking bullet between my eyes.
But yeah,
and everything. So he does like the trick and sends him off into the cosmos and everything like that, and then puts the fake bones out, and then he sneaks off.
and like I even get back to the realm of like my other theory I've said over the years is like, does Flag because it seems like Flag's conscious of the cycle, and it's like that would almost be more torturous than Roland because you're conscious of it, and it's not even your own doing. You're just tethered to this other person, and it's like, so is that why his whole thing is either to kill Roland or get him to break the cycle so he gets out of it? And it's like, so if that's the case, like he's not letting Roland go because that's not going to end the cycle. So I think the entirety of that whole like, pick one Spider-Man dichotomy that he sets out there, I think it's all fake, and I don't think there's ever any like Roland picking Jake is not going to be the end of his journey, not even close. It's not even a 1% chance.
See, I think that's where I think, especially myself, I'll speak for myself and maybe some others had a problem with what King was saying, because it's like, wait, so That's it. We don't get book 2s through 7. Like, we don't get any of that and everything. And I think that's where I was misunderstanding is like, oh, this isn't going to be the end of Roland's journey.
Yeah, they would then just continue to follow Flag. But again, it's just that lie that Flag's telling that, like, you either pick the boy or you come and pick me type thing. So
thanks for joining us, Agamorphy. Have a good day.
Yeah, see ya.
He had to take off. So, but no, yeah, I'm with you on that. And it's interesting because imagine drawing the 3 with Roland not freaking out. Do you not get the doors then? Because here's the thing. I do have a point to make with this that I glossed over this the first time reading Black House. I literally stumbled on this yesterday after leaving your house. Okay? There's a point in Black House where Jack Sawyer flips to the territories and meets the twinner of Judy. Her name is Sophie. Sophie takes him to meet Parkus, Speedy Parker. And Parkus tells him that the Dark Tower is about to fall. There is one beam holding on, so that gives you a time frame. Okay, we're in the middle of book 5 because there's a beam quake in book 5 that signifies the second to last beam falling. So we're in book 5, maybe book 6.
Yeah,
because
definitely in that final stretch, which is about the time that the Black House was written too, right?
Right.
It's published right around that. Like, well, maybe it was actually before, because it was 2001, wasn't Black House?
I'm trying to remember.
I want to say it's published in 01. I guess I have my extended thing up right now. I could just look at it myself. But
2001.
So it's kind of like
it's right around there.
It's kind of like the other one that came out in that era, which is Hearts and Atlantis, where we ended up finding out retroactively there's things that were invented in Hearts and Atlantis.
Yes.
And so
Parkus tells Jack, because Jack misunderstands it. It's fucking hilarious. He's like, okay, so if I get the talisman, is there enough magic in it for me to defeat the Crimson King? And Parkus is like, fuck, dude, you can't go against the Crimson King. You're nowhere near him. He will wipe the floor with you. Tells you how powerful Jack isn't.
Yeah.
And everything. But Parkus says something interesting, and I wish I would have gotten a direct quote, but I was listening to the audiobook while driving. He says there is a psychic force that the gunslingers of Gilead would put out that would help strengthen the beam. So think about the opposite, because there's opposites in this world as well.
Yeah.
The breakers break. Gilead's gunslingers put out a psychic force that repairs beams.
Yeah.
Which is what we've never thought about it before, because Shimi says all's fine. The beam says everything's fine. It's going to repair itself. It's not necessarily repairing itself alone either. It's repairing itself because there's gunslingers again in the world. And Parkus specifically calls out that if it was just Roland, the beam would break and fall. Dark Tower falls. It would be 100% that way. But because he made 3 other gunslingers, Eddie, Susannah, and Jake, that the beam is fighting back and it might survive long enough for them to get there and stop the breaking. And that's why Black House is so critical, because the boy that's kidnapped by the fisherman is a breaker. And he might be either one or 2 of the most powerful breakers. So that psychic force that the gunslingers are putting out becomes pivotal. So how do you get Eddie and Susannah into the story if you don't get the doors from Flag? But do the doors exist because of Flag?
Yeah, I don't think he creates them.
You don't think he's?
I think he's
responsible.
He's
for that.
fortune telling them.
But how does Roland end up on the shore of the sea, the Western Sea? Because he's not there when he has the campfire with Flag. It's kind of ambiguous where he's like, he goes from the mountains in the middle of a fucking continent to the Western Sea.
Yeah.
But
I would how I would surmise it is he's no more creating those doors, and he's creating Eddie, Susannah, and Jack Mort.
Okay.
Because he's basically fortune telling them. He's giving him, and he fortune tells other things, right? There's other things he tells in that whole thing where it's like we get some hints of the future there, and it's just like I think that's more of just his magic and potentially even just memory. Maybe it's not even magic, because if he's remembering previous cycles, he knows all this stuff. This is just him going. It'd be like if we got inserted into the story. It's like, oh hey, this is the part where the bear's about to show up. And they're like, wait, what the fuck?
Roar!
Yeah, it's just like
bitch. Yeah, and then they burn you at the stake like Susan.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but it's not really magic.
They go full Char-Yu tree on you.
Also, I will say, my correction though, Black House would have been written after the accident, so never mind. This is that was being written concurrently with the Dark Tower books, most likely. Hearts and Atlantis though was published in '99, so therefore it would have been written before the actual accident
Right.
and before he would have like sped into those last 3 books. So it's like there are a couple elements of the last 3 books that were established in Hearts of Atlantis. It's like, oh shit, these came before the fucking Dark Towers. Like, because it's easy for us Dark Tower fans to kind of lose sight of like the timeline. It's just like, oh yeah, cool, Dark Tower reference. But it was when we were doing, I think, our Patreon hangout, we're like, wait a minute, this is like the first establishment of this. These story elements.
That's the first time that he's mentioned this. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was, but yeah.
So Black House would have probably been written around the same time as the books because it would have been post-accident because it was published in 01. So he probably wrote, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
It could have been written before. Mostly, maybe it wasn't finished until after.
Especially because it's Straub. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I really wish King was a little bit. I mean, the 1% of us that are in this realm of nerdiness would really appreciate knowing when did you write everything, like when exactly. But with it being in 01, I would have to imagine that it was written after the accident, which either means he was in the middle of sprinting through the Dark Tower books, or maybe he already had the first drafts of them done when he was writing with Peter. I don't know.
So to finish my thought from the Black House thing, it makes me wonder if the death of the gunslingers is really what Roland keeps being brought back for. Because if Roland dies, the gunslingers are gone. If the gunslingers are gone, the Dark Tower falls. That's what Parkus says. So what if Roland's true purpose, his true salvation, is not only crying off the Dark Tower, but accepting his true destiny, which is a descendant of Arthur Eld, and to lead the rebirth of the gunslingers.
So he's Luke Skywalker now.
I mean, they basically laid it out in Black House that if there's not a psychic force of gunslingers to keep up the beams to repair them, the Dark Tower falls. They just deteriorate.
So
and
what you're
fall.
saying is Flag, in the John Farson face, that's why he wipes out Gilead and the gunslingers. Maybe
is because he wants the Dark Tower to fall.
Yeah,
he wants darkness. He wants the chaos that brings. What I think Flag doesn't want is I don't think he wants to be second fiddle to the Crimson King.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole betrayal of Mordred. So maybe he doesn't know everything. Maybe he doesn't experience the cycle every time. And if you look at it from that standpoint, then Roland's true purpose, what the universe Gan or the turtle or whoever the fuck is controlling all this and making him go back and go, nope, do it again, motherfucker, is trying to stop Roland from wiping out all of existence because he has to have gunslingers. There has to be gunslingers.
Yeah.
And if Roland dies, there is no gunslingers. He gets to the top of the tower. Maybe if Roland realizes that there's nothing at the top of the tower, he puts the barrel of his gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
No gunslingers, Dark Tower falls.
But here's the other thing, too. There's a lot that we've been told about the Dark Tower and how critical it is. Are we sure that's even true? Or is the Dark Tower falling even that big a deal? Because it is
with how everyone reacts to it. When
Parkus, I know.
When Parkus says the Dark Tower, Sophie sits there forking the sign of the evil eye over and over again because it's so evil, and it's So if it's so evil, can we trust that it's not just building itself up?
That it's the linchpin of all existence. Like that's one thing I feel in the last year or so I've really come around to is it's like, do we really need to? Do we even trust the fact that Dark Tower is necessary to existence? Like I know that's how it's being portrayed to us, but there's a lot of things in this story that were portrayed to us and turned out to not be true. So it's like, I don't know. It just very interesting.
I just think that it's interesting that Parkus told us flat out that if we don't have gunslingers in the world, the Dark Tower falls. And it's just something that I missed it the first time reading Black House.
I'm just like, here's the other question I would ask then is, does the Earth side gunslingers count? And is that helping it? All the Tet Corporation people
could,
because essentially, because Roland didn't just make 3. Like there was a whole wave of gunslingers that would have been built out of the Tet Corporation,
which wouldn't have been around yet because Book 6 hadn't happened. Book 7, when Roland does that, when Parkus is talking, he's talking about the 4 of them heading to the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
And dealing with the Crimson
King.
Like
when Shimi says that, the beam says all as well, like you're talking about hundreds of gunslingers that now exist again.
Yeah.
Like, probably potentially even more than was it when in book 4.
Right.
Because book 4, things are we're dwindling down. I think there's one point in the book that it mentions how few gunslingers were left. Like it wasn't and hundreds and hundreds. It was dozens and dozens.
And that's the evil of Flag, is that he's with Farson and he's like, "Okay, I got to bring down the Dark Tower for the Crimson King."
Yeah.
I 100% believe now. I was kind of iffy. Was Flag just kind of doing his own thing with Farson, or was he working for the Crimson King and using Farson? I 100% believe now he is using Farson at request of the Crimson King, and he's serving the Crimson
Well, I think
King
they're the same
all
person,
through
so
Farson
and Flag. I mean, King tells us that. There's people that fight that, mostly I think because the comic books portray them as separate characters.
Yeah.
But it's like, King says in the intros, sometimes he calls himself Farson, and it's like, that's enough for me. So, yeah. But yeah, the intricacies of Flag's plannings are a beautiful thing.
Oh, it just blows my mind that I missed that the first time with Black House, and we've never talked about it because holy shit, that is a world changer when you think about the psychic force of Gilead and the gunslingers being put out to secure the beams and repair them.
Yeah.
He specifically says repair, so it's like, shit, we need gunslingers
so
in this world.
Here's the other thing I'm going to say then.
Yeah.
Then Gilead's setup for pass your trial or be sent west is even more stupid. Unless
they don't know.
Unless they don't understand it, but I wonder if they do though.
Well, they don't know. We know for a fact they don't know because look at how everyone reacts when Roland says, I've seen the Dark Tower, I have to go there. They're like, dude, it's a fucking fairy tale.
Well, the boys, but
everyone says
but
that.
The dads that know it all, right? The dads know about the Dark Tower, that and Roland tells them that our fathers knew all along. They've known about this. They just haven't told us.
Maybe
so it's like, do the fathers?
What if they pass someone who fails their trial actually does more damage to the beam than repairing it?
Maybe
that's,
I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. Is like you're cooking, right? And you pull out a thing of meat and it's rotten. Well, you don't cook it and eat it. You cast it out, right?
Yeah.
Because if you put it in with other meat that's good, you're going to spoil all that.
That's why you just eat hot dogs. They never go bad.
Never go bad. Never go bad. Lots of ketchup.
That's good stuff, though.
No mustard.
I need to reread Black House and Talisman actually as well. So
well, especially with what's coming out this year.
Yeah, with it coming out. Yeah. Maybe here in a little bit I'll have to start that up.
I will say that I struggled with Talisman this time.
Yeah,
I did, but Black House, God, it's first chapter, 17 hooks.
Oh,
right into me.
If I remember right, the first chapter is pretty terrible in my opinion. I struggled with Black House.
Oh God, no!
I don't know if it's like Peter Straub writing it or something, but there was just like I struggled really hard in that first like maybe 5 or so minutes of the audio. I was just like, this is fucking dreadful. This is terrible.
Oh God, it's so good.
I don't know, man.
It's so talking about like a serial killer and people are terrified and everything, like setting the mood for French Landing. Oh, it's so good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I had to like restart it like 3 or 4 times before I finally muscled through. And then I was like, God, this book must suck. Then I finally got past it. I'm like, okay, no, this actually is a good book. I'm like, and that's where like my theory is that Peter Straub wrote that, and I'm not into his style because that and maybe it wasn't the full first chapter, but the very first like opening minutes are fucking dreadful of that book. They're fucking terrible. For me.
I think you're nuts. Sir.
Yeah, no, it's like that's one of my biggest memories of the book. Actually, is like
I want to know what happens when you reread it because I'll tell you right now, when I started it up, I'm like, okay, like bracing myself because I struggled with the Talisman. I'm like, here we go again, and then it's like, there's a serial killer in French Landing. He's killing kids, and I'm just like, holy fuck, I don't remember a serial killer. I'm in.
I remember that because we've talked when we were discussing at one point, has King ever done a slasher? And we did bring up Black House, although I do think that Dark Half is much truer.
Dark Half is a true slasher.
Yeah, Black House is not far off.
Black House is more of a Red Dragon hunt for the serial killer kind of thriller, Silence of the Lambs kind of thing.
Yeah,
versus like a straight up like slasher, like Halloween, Jason, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing.
What is it?
Scream.
Beaumont? I forget his name. Dark Half.
Thad Beaumont.
Thad Beaumont. Yeah,
Thad Beaumont.
I was thinking Chad. I'm like, Chad.
Which is awfully suspicious. It's pretty close to Tad.
But my name is just Tad. Some people, older people, think my name is Thaddeus, and I just go by Tad. But no, I was just named strictly Tad.
Tad.
But usually Tad is a derivative of Thaddeus.
I brought that up the other day that you were named after a Stephen King character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Spelled incorrectly.
In fact, I've had a lot of older people that I've met over my life that would call me Thad. Because they just assume that
I've corrected people too, where they're like, "Yeah, that's Thad." I'm like, "Nope, Tad."
Yeah, yes, indeed.
#Tad is terrible. Don't forget it.
No H there. So after all that tangenting, which is totally fine,
That's what we do.
he then recaps the second book and how Roland's actions there reverberate into Jake into the third book, which, you know what? The one thing I think I always forget, and I think I'd probably miss on a trivia question, is that I would probably say that Jake's not in the second book. I'd probably miss that question if you said...
He is.
No, I know. But I think
Jax tries to push him.
But I would say he's not in the book. It would
No.
be like would good. But even just reading this, I'm like, oh god, yeah, he is in there. But I mean, but he's not really like a main like primary moving character. You hardly see him. Like it's almost like a cameo if books had cameos more than anything. So, but yeah, that would be one that I would admit right up off the top if you said like which book are all the quartet members or whatever. So
There's a thought.
Which means that Jake needs to be accounted when we talk about most appearances in King. Because I think we've generally thrown the rest of Quartet out because, like, well, they're all missing a book. But Jake's missing a book.
Jake's been in every single book. Just like Roland.
Yeah. But the short stories is where Roland is going to breeze ahead still. So he is still ahead above the rest.
Only Little Sisters of Valyria.
Yeah. So, and then it reverberates into the third book, and his sad life is made more terrible by slipping into madness due to the paradox Roland created.
Damn it, Roland! Why can't you just let this kid die?
Yeah.
Wait,
leave him alone.
No, damned if he kills the kid. Damned if he saves the kid. Man, Roland is just
no. He knew that he was putting himself into danger by saving Jake. Yeah. He knew it because there was like that thought in his head where it's just like, wait, I can't do that because it's like, but no, I can't sit here and watch this happen type thing. So
not again.
Against his better judgment. He says that this only makes Jake that much more complex. Jake is both youthful and ancient, tormented and naive all at the same time, which I feel like that's let me finish this sentence here though, something that is hard to capture on the page and it'll be just as difficult if not more so on screen. And I think I to an extent, I probably understood that to a little bit, but I think him putting this fine a point on it is really true. Like, Jake is kind of the mixture of both, right? Like, one of my favorite lines of his is, like, like some of his lines in the first book are just, they feel very adult. And not in a bad way, it's poorly written, but it's just, like, Jake is kind of wise beyond his years, and it's, like, because he's kind of had a shitty life in a lot of ways and stuff, and it's just, like...
When kids are neglected like they are, like Jake is, they tend to grow up faster.
Mm-hmm.
And be more mature than other kids, which is why a lot of times they don't socialize as well. They have bullying problems and everything like that. So
yeah, no, 100%. So, but that whole thing, Jake is both youthful and ancient, which I think is true. Again, just going to some of the lines he said. And in book one, you see him flipping back and forth between both. There's times that he's like, seems like, damn, this kid seems like he's 20. Then there's other times like, this is a fucking child.
He's whining at Roland not to go down into the cellar.
Yeah, exactly. And then tormented and naive. Like, again, there's those two dichotomies for him. Both sets of dichotomies is like, they're both absolutely true.
Yeah.
But this article is like really put the point on it where I'm like, oh my God, yeah, Jake is like, this is not an easy character. And it's like, so I feel like in a way that's like this writer is kind of like, kind of almost making his case for like why Jake is the toughest one. I'm like, and he's winning me over here is all I'm saying. Cause I get your point to Susannah and like the everything that goes along with that. Yeah. But like, not only is Jake difficult for multiple reasons, but also he's kind of a linchpin to the entire series. So
he's very critical.
He says finding the right actor to embody Jake's stranger qualities, and that Jake goes through the biggest emotional leaps of any other character. He mentions the film smoothed him down into kind of a chosen one, but that was a huge shortchanging of the character in a lot of ways because it kind of just simplified Jake down to way more simple. And I get you have a 90-minute movie, but it's like that. I think all of us could look at that, no matter the moments we loved from like Jake in the movie, and I think the kid did a good job. But it's like that is not the whole three-dimensional view that we have of Jake. So he then says that Roland's history has him ingrained in the idea that he's destined to be alone, but Jake is really what shatters that illusion for him. He points out that Jake is the first and last loss we experience with Roland in the story in book 1 and book 7. And I would pause because I almost waited for you to object, or I thought you might object there because you might bring up Oi, but I'm like, I don't think Roland cares about Oi, to be honest with you. Like, I think Roland cares about Jake, but it's like, I don't think Roland has the same attachment to Oi that like we do as readers or as Jake would have if Jake were still alive, right? So Roland's last true loss, and Susannah, same thing. Like, I feel like he's like begging her to stay with him because I don't think he wants to be alone because I think he has transformed so much that he doesn't. He's almost afraid of that loneliness, but I don't think that it's like he's once she's like decided. I don't think he is like heartbroken. I think it's more of just like, oh well, I didn't keep her here type thing. But it's like I don't think he's like shattered emotionally, in my opinion. I think Jake's the emotional shattering of his last one, except for that
where
last
it's like
moment.
He's just kind of numb after that, going through the motions with Susan through the the frozen lands and then Oi dying.
Yeah. And here's
I disagree. I do. I disagree. The way he acts with Susannah begging her, that's not someone who's emotionally dead inside. Oh, don't go. Whatever. He's not indifferent to it. He's begging her.
Yeah.
He falls to his knees after the door closes and everything.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's because of his like emotional connection to her, or if it's more of that he just doesn't want like the last of it to be gone. Like I think I feel like he almost likes the idea of having her more than he likes her. I don't know. I think like Jake, there's like a real actual tie and bond there. Like it's the son thing, but it's like, I just don't know
there's a bond with him and Susannah. You can't say there's not a bond with him and Susannah after everything that they went through. There's a father, daughter, brother, sister, older brother, younger sister kind of bond there that exists that is damaged because of the death of Eddie and Jake, but it's not gone. That's why it's so hard for Susannah to leave him, and that's why it hurts Roland so much to hear that she would rather abandon him than go through with the mission, the kind of the quest
but
kind of thing.
Here's the other thing, though. Where is his hurt? Because she's leaving, or because her leaving is a mirror to expose what he still is?
Because it leaves him alone with Patrick Hochstetter. I mean, not Patrick. Patrick Danville.
But what I'm saying is, there is sometimes those people that get really hated because they become a mirror and reflect like the hypocrisy of other whatever it is, right? You have those characters, that like Susannah leaving is showing Roland what you should do, and so it's almost like a judgment on him, and so maybe that's where the begging comes from. Is it's like no, you got to stay with me, you got to be part of this still, like because if you
got to validate my choices.
Yeah, exactly. Validate me. That's a perfect wording. Is validate me. Like this is the right way. Eddie would have done this, and like he tries to manipulate her stuff.
I mean,
and like honestly,
I hate to argue with you, but why is Oi there? Why doesn't Oi stay at Jake's grave and die?
Well, because he was given a command by Jake.
By who?
By Jake.
Is Jake wrong? Because what you're saying is that Susannah's right, Roland's wrong. Is Jake wrong then for sending Oi?
No, because I think Jake knew full well that Oi was just going to sit there and die. It's like, so no, you need to
what?
To do this.
To do what?
To save Roland.
To stay with Roland. To save him. To be with him. To be a member of the quartet. So it's either Susannah's right and Roland and Jake are wrong, or Susannah's wrong.
Well, also Jake has no way of knowing that you're basically going to get an out and pretty much have a lot of the boxes checked where it's like, the only reason you're going toward the tower now is addiction. You're not saving anything anymore. This is your opportunity to go back to and choose the people because
we know that.
No, I know, and Jake Jake wouldn't have known that. But
neither does Susannah.
No, but she's
choosing the unknown versus what she thinks is ahead.
Yeah, plus she also believes that, and here's the really dark thought, because she believes that, she stays with him, she'll die.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, is there a chance that Roland's begging her to stay because he wants that last card to play if he needs it?
No, I don't.
To sacrifice her
at that point, I don't think Roland's that Terminator character anymore.
I don't know, man.
I don't.
It's like him promising Jake that he wouldn't let him die, and then in his own mind, he's like, do you really mean that?
Yeah, he asked the question. He doesn't say, yeah, I don't mean that. There's a difference between asking a question of yourself and flat out stating.
I would say doubting yourself.
Doubt is a normal human thing. Even you doubt yourself. I doubt myself. Everyone doubts themselves.
Well, except for my lovableness.
No, that is
that I never doubt.
That is you being delusional. Is what that is. I think that there is a lot more said for Roland in book 7 than just Terminator Roland looking for a card to play or an advantage to have. I think he truly loves Susannah. I think he truly wants her with him because it is what he thinks is the right thing.
And I'm not fully convinced on that. I'm just it's a question that entered my mind as I was thinking through this, where it's like, is there even a part of the reason that he does still want another buffer if something went down? Because it's like Roland is still Roland.
What is Susannah gonna do that Roland can't?
No, I'm just like, die. Like, does he need someone expendable that if something happens, there's still one more person to die that wouldn't be him? I'm not saying he's the Terminator. I'm just saying, is he still not the very what's the right word? I don't want it to sound super negative in the sense of like calculating, cold, whatever. But it's just like
that's what it's coming across.
He's a pragmatist. and like he knows that shit's gonna get dangerous, and it's like I'm not even saying I completely believe this, but it's a question that came up, and it's like it wasn't an immediate answer for me of like, no, absolutely not. And it's like, but I think that's the beauty of the character is like there might still be that aspect of like maybe it is he just needs, potentially, another cannon fodder person to be there with him.
That's no.
And that's what Oi is, to be honest.
No.
I mean,
Not Roland doesn't make him that though.
No.
You're putting all of this on Roland and everything, but he still gives her a choice. He doesn't make her stay and everything. So making Roland
no, he
out
begs
to be like
he
this,
begs her to stay. I'm just saying it's because of his history that we have with him that it makes me question like what is there
You're glossing over a lot of Roland's history that shows that he's moved past that.
yeah.
There's a lot of Roland that shows that he's changed, but somehow every time we talk about this, where it's Susannah going through the door and book 7, all of a sudden all of that gets forgotten. All of that from Terminator to Roland collapsing in book 4.
Not all of it.
All of it gets forgotten.
Not all of it. That's what I'm saying. Is it a 1% of the reason he wants her? I'm not saying that's like it's an entire thing. I don't think he is that, like he was early in the books where it's just like, yeah, this is just, whatever. I can use these people for whatever I need to. And Eddie calls him out on it multiple times. So I don't think he's that necessarily, but is there still 1% of that where there is a calculation there where it's like, I have more of an ability to make it if there's 3 of us, and I don't
believe that.
Yeah,
here's where it comes down to, right? Read between the lines all you want. I'm going to read the lines that King wrote. If King wanted that interpretation, if King meant that for his character, I think King would have easily put a line in there saying that. If King had said something where like Roland was begging her to stay because he knew that he was going to need her in some way, okay. I agree with you there. There's no line there. There's nothing there except Roland doesn't want her to go because I don't think he wants to be alone.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, what's left with him? A bumbler who doesn't talk to him anymore, who is the most depressing, sad thing that's ever existed, and a kid who doesn't even have a tongue.
Yeah.
He is left alone.
But yeah, and that even goes to my earlier point though, is to me that's just as selfish as like wanting her for cannon fodder. He wants her there for his own reasons because he doesn't want to be alone. And to me, that's still a use. And
Susannah's leaving for her own reasons. Isn't that selfish as well?
I mean, to an extent, but like she says it She says it too. She's like, if I go, like I'm not going to make it. So like she kind of lays it out where it's just like nobody lives with you, so I'm going to take the risk here because there's a chance I find the happiness. The only reason I've been here was for the people I love,
and that's why he does let her go. You're not giving him enough credit for. Yes, he wants her to stay and he argues his side and everything like that. But at the end of it, he doesn't make her stay.
No, I don't think he ever would by any means. But again, between the realm of even what you said, like I don't know. I'm not putting this whole thing on that like he just absolutely loves her and whatever. Like I think there's at least the twofold things of like it becomes a judgment on him because she's picking to not be a tower junkie, whereas Eddie or Jake would have followed him.
Right.
The other way. But it's like she's the one that can now be that mirrored where it's like that
so you're saying that makes Susannah stronger than Jake or Eddie would have been at that moment.
Well, just that she was never addicted to the tower.
Yeah.
She was only ever there because the people she loved. So she was never like hook it in my veins tower junkie. She was
leading me by the nose. I'm going with you, like Eddie said.
But it's like, I feel like hers was always contingent on Eddie and to a secondary extent Jake, because like I think there was a motherly aspect to Jake to where it's like she would have stayed if either of those two were still there because her love for them.
Yeah.
But her love is never the tower, and I think that's where she almost becomes the mirror for Roland, where it's like, and for King, for us as readers, where it's like, here's the diversion. You have the addiction, and we're given the same choice. It's like, at this point now, if you want your happy ending, stop right now. Or Peter, if you think that, the post or the epilogue is just King
worthless.
Just King telling you about how the book's written.
An author's note. Here's how I wrote the book, that's the reason why I thought that is because that's what epilogues were for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's like, and again, yeah, I don't know. But I will say the writer does make one mistake here, and I'm going to push back very hard on, because he says that Roland does the unthinkable in book 7 and lets Jake die again. And I'm like, absolutely fucking not.
No.
Absolutely fucking
And that's
not.
where I've made this argument before that
fucking
Roland
not.
was ready to die.
He was going to. King is the one that failed because King's body ailments is what caused Roland's body to fail.
Because they're twinners.
It's like, so that is the only reason that Roland doesn't give himself up to the van. And that was Roland's full intention. His heart, his mind, his soul was ready for that fucking sacrifice. So it's like, I will push back very hard on that because that is absolutely not the case. Roland, it was a failure of his body is the only reason Jake died. It was not.
It could also be attributed to the universe saying, motherfucker.
Or King, you know, like the writer God.
Nope, we need you alive.
100%. But it's like Roland, and I feel like
Roland can't be blamed for that.
Exactly.
That's what needs to come across here.
Exactly.
Roland can't be blamed for that.
No, not at all. Because
Baraki popped into the chat, says, also I think Roland understands that at the end of the story, he will be facing the tower alone. The Oracle said the three are his way to, and he emphasizes to, the tower. Not that they were with him through it.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's where like Susan was kind of seeing through the lines where it's just like, no one's making it with you there.
Susannah.
Like, it's like, I'm dead if I follow you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even if I end up in outer darkness or Tonash darkness, like I will take that risk because I'm not.
It's a question then on what is Susannah's duty? Is she a gunslinger then? Like Roland talks about what it is to be a gunslinger and everything. What is her duty? Is her duty to be happy, to live? Or is her duty to do what Cuthbert did and fight the good fighting, and die?
And that's where I'd say is I think her duty was always to Eddie and Jake. That was her duty. And so she was going to go pursue finding them again or the chance of finding them again.
So that's where my question comes again. Is she a gunslinger?
I think so, yeah.
Then she's not a very good one if she's going to forsake her duty.
I don't think it's her duty, though.
What is the gunslinger's duty?
To protect people.
Like Roland?
Yeah, but Roland's not protecting anyone to go to the tower. He's fulfilling his addiction.
Debatable with what we know now that Parkus says that without gunslingers, the tower falls.
Yeah,
that is written by King.
But Roland still exists if he goes through that door with her. He doesn't just cease to exist.
That's fair.
So yeah. So it's like because again, I don't think that anything that King's ever said has changed that fact that Roland goes towards the tower because of his addiction. I think we missed it early in this course of this show where we just I think we both hated Susannah for a long time for it all.
It feels like she's abandoning not only the mission, but also someone that she says is her friend.
Yeah,
and so that's where I have a problem with it. I still have a problem.
But then on multiple rereads, though, you find out the things where it's just like the beams are safe. It's going to reheal itself. The tower's no longer in danger. The Crimson King is stuck on the fucking balcony. That's one of the reasons that if he thinks that Flag is doing his bidding is to bring the tower down because he's fucking stuck. He is he's not in the tower.
He's insane.
He's insane, trapped on the fucking balcony of a tower. Like he is basically in purgatory. He is in more of a purgatory than Roland is. He is absolutely fucking trapped.
He has to sit there looking at the field of roses. Can't die.
Yeah.
He just has to look at the same landscape forever.
Be trapped there forever. Like it is ultimately like one of those like cosmic jokes almost. And it's like probably Gan where it's just like or the tower if you want to, give the
fucker, this is your punishment.
Yeah, it's like yeah, no. And that's where I get into the realm of like, is it really on Roland to save it, or is the tower capable of saving itself in a lot of ways where it's just like, oh hey, this one of this highest beings of all these creatures, it's like now like entered me. Well, cool, I'll let you enter. Oh hey, here's a door right here. Oh, slam the door and it's like you're trapped now.
Locks it,
yeah, it's
bolts
like,
it.
Yeah, it's like you like so
puts a barricade up.
So it's almost
sticks a chair under the handle.
Yeah, so it's like it has an immune system, right? And it used that immune system against the Crimson King.
Sure.
So it's like,
but it didn't eliminate the Crimson King. Just because he's trapped on the balcony doesn't mean that he can't still act from there.
Yeah.
If someone was to make it to the tower, and we know that people have been to the tower aside from Roland, people live out there.
Now,
I mean, a creature lived out there.
A quick aside: when it comes to gunslingers, is anyone in Colibrim Sturgis would any of them be like spiritually become gunslingers after that? So like,
T and Jaffrey,
is
100%.
is Roland just spreading the seed in
Yeah.
a very graphic way of saying it though? Is he spreading the seed of the gunslinger throughout his entire journey? Because we talked
Good.
about the Tech Corporation.
Are they true gunslingers though?
As
of the Eld kind of thing.
Well, no, as far as Gilead, no. But does the tower actually need that, or is it the Jedi thing where it's just like sometimes a Jedi is just someone that's helping people and using the Force and being like tuning into the balance of the Force, and it's like so Tia and like John Cullum and some of these other people, like they're gunslingers, and it's like so Roland is actually unknowingly growing that breed as he's going on his mission.
Good.
So
it's an interesting. I'm telling you, that whole Parkus thing is changing a lot of things for me. That we need gunslingers. That Roland has to survive. I really wonder if that's why he gets to the Dark Tower and it's just like, nope, try again, motherfucker. I need you alive.
But here's the question then that I'm going to ask, and I don't have any proof on this, but can Roland die at all?
That is
if Roland goes through the door and lives with Eddie, whatever, Eddie and Susannah and Jake, and then eventually some, German Shepherd, whatever. Like, does it end
German
up
Shepherd corgi
does it
mix?
end up in a thing where like 300 years later he's still existing? Like, and I'm not saying I have any proof of this, but it's like we obviously been given multiple hints that Roland's like.
Is Roland still a gunslinger if he goes through that door?
I mean, I think so.
No.
I think he is.
I think we have proof from King that he's not.
I think
what happens to his gun when it goes through that door?
Yeah, but gunslingers are more than the guns.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah.
The sandalwood grips, the way that King describes the gunslingers.
Plus, also, who's to say that it does that if Roland goes through? What if it's different for him?
It's Roland's gun. I would hesitate for him. That would be one thing I would not want to see is Roland go through that door, because what happens to that gun if that? See, furthermore, is there a need for a gunslinger in that world? Does Roland stop being a gunslinger because he doesn't need to be a gunslinger? Our world doesn't need a gunslinger. We don't.
I mean,
in the real aspect of real way of the world, what a gunslinger is someone who does the world good. So, you're saying, like, but is that really a gunslinger if they're standing up for truth, justice, and the American way kind of thing,
But all I'm saying is, like, with all the, if it's Tia Jaffords or if it's John Cullum and some of these others, like, Roland's not the last of the gunslingers anymore. That ceased to be a thing in book 2 when he brings the others through the door. But it's like, what I'm saying is, as he goes through the journey, as he populating the world with gunslingers, where he can now go have the peace.
I get where you're coming from, and I get the idea no, 100% no, because I think that just because someone picks up a weapon and fights injustice does not make them a Jedi. There's more to it than that.
I don't know.
I think there is, because I think that 1, none of them have passed a trial. 2, none of them have the psychic connection to repair the beams. I think that's a big thing that you're missing, is that this is a psychic force that holds the tower up and repairs the beams. If we don't have that, it's gone. If Roland goes through that door, he ceases to be a gunslinger. He has chosen a different life.
That's an interpretation you're taking. I'm saying I don't think he ceases to be a gunslinger.
You think he's going to go through that door, recruit those 2, and just continue on with gunslinger missions? He's going to get a job. He's going to become a New Yorker kind of thing. That's not a gunslinger.
I don't know.
That's not.
I would interpret it differently. I think he's a gunslinger, especially him, because he's actually of the line of Eld. Because, like, I know that, like, all the gunslingers, like, spiritually, but it's like he is the only one that's actually truly tied to that. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. But yes, my analogy I also said when it comes to saying that, like, letting Jake die, I feel like that's like saying Vader destroyed Alderaan. It's just fundamentally wrong. Like, there's just Roland did not let Jake die in book 7. Absolutely fucking not. Like,
no, he did not.
That is a grave misreading of the story, in my opinion. But his point about Jake being the first and last loss for Roland are legit. In the sense of, like, those are like the ones that, that's like the bookend, beginning and end of the true loss for him. And again, it is his son by the end as well. So it's like, that is the most damaging loss for him. Like, Eddie's one thing, that's fine, not fine, but it's like, it hurts, but it's like Jake is a whole different thing. And
he made a promise and he didn't keep it.
Yeah.
Is how he looks at it.
Yeah. And he's going to reflect it on himself. Because
it's my fault.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's really not, right? Like, your body failing because of some God that writes your story that what like
Yeah.
no, that's not really your fault, Roland, but he's not gonna see that truth.
It brings back the question that you just asked when you compare King to a god. Roland is King's twinner. Can Roland die? Like it's a question there. You know?
No, 100%. His larger point is this final tragedy only works because King did so well throughout the previous 6 books to build to it. In order for this moment to really work on screen, is Jake needs to be done absolutely right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
He closes his article by saying this is, but it's in good hands with Flanagan. With his history of young actors carrying really big thematic loads, it can give us confidence that he's going to handle Jake right. And he says that Flanagan has shown great aptitude for getting stories based around young characters that is neither condescending nor garish. They always feel like they're fully formed with their own perspectives, and they're not just objects to be put in peril to move the story along. And
Right.
I think that's 100% a slam dunk. Is like, yeah, I don't think there's once that I've seen in a Flanagan story where kids are like, because sometimes kids are used pretty poorly in movies.
Oh, yeah.
Or, yeah, it's like the damsel in distress where
It's almost every Jason Statham movie ever. Hey, leave that kid alone.
yeah,
I'm gonna protect that kid. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, so the kid exists just so Statham has a reason to shoot and fight people.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. And I think he's right in virtually all of this. And certainly, if Flanagan got the green light tomorrow, I think we'd be excited for a lot of things like castings, release dates, and whatnot. But I do think Jake low key might be one of the castings that be the most critical. And as the first season airs, watching how he builds Jake out might be one of the most interesting things to watch.
Yeah. So it's interesting because is that all for the article?
Yeah,
Okay. I 100% agree with Matthew here because when you ask this question, the hardest Stephen King character to get right, I instantly think of acting.
yes.
That's where I think of
And that's-
acting, casting,
And
that kind of
after
thing.
you said your stuff about Susannah, that's why I tried to give you like the nuance of like
But-
he's more talking about like Flanagan's side of build the
Yeah,
character.
and I think that while I kind of agree with him that the hardest Stephen King character to get right is, I also think that it is also in the hands of the person who is easily going to handle this problem.
100%. Yeah, no, we have the best possible
yeah,
spot when it comes to this right now. Like,
absolutely.
you and I have been basically been circling an adaptation for 20 years almost,
Just about
damn near.
2008 was when the first time we really were like,
No, there was one in 07. I think the J.J. Abrams one is in 07 at
Was it
least.
really?
So, yeah, I think it was, pretty sure the J.J. Abrams shit was in 07. But yeah, every once in a while I'll get like memories on social media from shit where I'll post like, oh my God, like,
yeah, between 2007 2009, you're right, Ted. So next year is 20 years since that. Good Lord. Where does the time go,
I mean,
man?
us as friends reading these books, I mean, one of the first things after you finish reading these books is like, when can I get a movie? So it's like even before it became like a real thing, right?
That would have been 2005 or 6 for me, 2004 for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's been a while for sure. But
been a while.
but of all the different like lineups and shit we've seen, I do think Flanagan gives me the most like hope and optimism.
and we have nothing. We have nothing from him yet. you know?
No, but like, but everything he's shown, he's showing his credibility, right?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
a life.
chuckling at the fact that
Yeah,
we have nothing from him, but we still are the most hopeful and excited for it.
between his track record with King,
Yep.
between the work he's done in other things that weren't King,
Mhm.
between and then just the fact of the stuff he said in these interviews, where it's like he is truly he is as much, if not more, of a fan than we are.
Yeah, that's
So-
where I definitely want to call out Nikolai Arcel, the one that directed the movie.
Yeah,
I would love for him to come back and direct an episode. It probably won't happen, or
That
or
would be
involved.
that'd be like Brandon Routh playing the Kingdom
Super-
Come Superman
Yes.
in the CW
It
shows.
would be really cool because I know how much of a fan he was,
Yeah,
and I know
and
that
he got done dirty.
I know he got done dirty by
Yeah.
the studio,
And even
Absolutely.
they've even come out and admitted it in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. We covered articles on that where
yeah,
it's like,
where they're like, oh yeah, we had definitely meetings about changing this movie, and I'm like, you motherfuckers.
no, and there even like the producer even came out in the last year
Oh,
or so.
yeah.
And we covered it where he's like, yeah, 100%. There was just too many cooks. Like
Yep.
everyone had an opinion. Nobody was really like a guiding voice. It was all just like,
he even said some stuff, and then it was taken down, didn't he? The director.
yes.
He
There-
says-
well,
he
it's not
said
taken
something-
down. It didn't get a lot of
Yeah.
press because he's back in Denmark or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So we're I think we're in a good spot. We just need to get a goddamn green light.
That's
Is what-
That's all it is.
so-
Flanagan needs to stop getting distracted by side quests.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
God damn it! Now what?
let's see.
Oh,
That's the wrong pedal. I was like, why is it not switching? Because I must have hit the wrong pedal, but that was more of a delay than I'm usually used to. So the next one here is about Carrie. Flanagan's Carrie completely changes the Stephen King classic with a modern twist.
answers our question.
And this is by Britta Devora and Perry Nemiroff from Collider on March 20th, 2026. So they write that Flanagan has a knack for turning terror into triumph with his unmatched storytelling abilities and tropes and his troupe of actors that fans have done the Flanafam. I've never heard that term before. I'm sticking with Flanagan family, though.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's the Manson family, like, echoing that I really like. But there's usually some newcomers, and this one's going to have a newcomer to the Flanagan family, which I dubbed it there because it's my term and I like that better. And that's Heather Graham,
Hey!
King alum that played Rita Blakemore in the god-awful fucking Stand adaptation in 2020. Also, Austin Powers 2. For the non-Stephen King fans.
There you go.
So who Heather is playing is being kept under wraps, but she chatted with Perry Nemiroff to support her new project, They Will Kill You. She opened up about her work on Carrie, and she said, quote, Mike Flanagan is one of those people where you're like, he's so talented, but then he's also such a great guy. Everyone who works with him is obsessively loves him, and he's amazing. Flanagan previously said this would be more of a modern take on the story, and with many still thinking there's very little to add for any adaptation after 4 or 5 adaptations now. But towards that comment, Graham said, quote, I have seen the first 3 episodes and they're great. They bring in aspects of social media bullying, guns in schools, so they're trying to modernize it, and I do feel like they captured the essence of what make Carrie great. So not only are we getting cyberbullying that we've already kind of talked about, but guns in schools.
That's new.
That's and also that's a sticky wicket. That's not one that I would have suspected necessarily. I don't think we're gonna get a school shooting by any means, but is someone gonna bring a gun to school or whatever? Like that could easily be a thing. So Graham was asked what made the set so different from all the others that she had worked on, and she said, he is kind. At the end of the shoot, there was all these young people who never really worked that much before, and everyone was crying, even the older actors. They were like, this is such a great energy. I don't know. He just creates a vibe of love. Even though he does these dark stories, everyone is fully a very love vibe. Kind of a weird way to word it, but that's what she's saying. And you know,
that's Heather Graham for you.
Yeah, but I will say from my experiences, though, I've always heard that is like, horror movies are a lot of times the funnest, most lighthearted film sets imaginable. If you want to be miserable and fucking depressed, be on a comedy set, because like comedians are just fucking neurotic, terrible people, and like the sets of those movies are just not fun. They're just terrible and psychological warfare and shit. Whereas horror movies, I've seen enough behind the scenes shit of being a horror fan, like that's the funnest sets usually.
They play pranks on each other all the time.
Oh yeah, 100%. So that's kind of interesting, kind of a new little wrinkle. We had the Matthew Lillard kind of gave us some of our first little peeks, and now Heather Graham giving us a little bit more. And I'm still wonder, is this just off the cuff, or are these things that Flanagan's kind of said like, can you say just say these certain things, like allude to? I don't think that Flanagan would talk about him like asked to talk about himself, but I wonder if he talked to her and say, hey, you can mention like bullying, guns, like that. You look at
the interview and you see her reading something off of her hand, like there is this in the show, and and then they wrote it.
Heather, blink twice if you're in trouble.
She just stares into the camera.
Oh man. Let's see. Next up, let me see if there we go. Is Sam Witwer shares his thoughts on Mike Flanagan's remake and readaptation of Stephen King's novella. Again, I don't like the term remake, but that's their headline. So this is Eric Eisenberg from Cinema Blend on April 2nd, 2026. So Sam Witwer played Private Wayne Jessup, who was an ally of David Drayton, but also spills the beans on Project Arrowhead in the I almost said Flanagan in the Darabont. I also want Darabont back for the Dark Tower because he tried to push for it back in the early 2000s.
Imagine if Darabont directed Charyu Tree.
Dude.
Oh my god.
Seriously. That would be, but would Flanagan want that himself though?
Oh, of course he would. All right. Where do we want Darabont? Dude.
But we've talked about this before where like Darabont asks King like, hey, can I do the Dark Tower? And he's like, dude, you just did 3 of my things. Like, chill.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
calm down.
Because there's part of me though, because that would have been like around 2007 or 2005.
That's where we wish we had a time machine so we could just flash back and smack Keen upside the head.
It's like, no, say yes.
Say yes.
But what is your thought for Darabont there?
Darabont, what episode, where would you want him to direct? What scene?
Jake dying? Which one?
No. Get him away from kids dying. Let's stop that, all right? Honestly, the one that popped into my head was the Traveler's Rest showdown.
Again, you're picking ones that Flanagan's gonna. I'm not gonna say he's doing them all himself, but there's certain ones that he's like, I've got to do
Written
that.
and directed by Flanagan.
Yeah. Blaine, you gonna say that one next?
I did think about Blaine. What about the wolves?
Yeah. God, I don't know, man. It would be cool to bring him in for sure, because again, it'd be kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, let him come in for an episode and be like, there, you did it.
Dude, this would never happen, but imagine if Flanagan actually did that, where he actually did it, where it was like Ron Howard came in for an episode.
J.J. Abrams did one.
Like, all the people that have tried the Dark Tower over the years.
Russell Crowe has a cameo. Javier Bardem is cast as someone. Who else? Viggo Mortensen.
No, that was always just fan cast. That was
I
never,
know.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get them all in this and just.
Yeah. Also, Mazzara. But yeah. Does Mazzara direct though? I know I know he was like the showrunner for like The Shield, but I'm not sure because some showrunners are just about the writing and stuff. They don't always direct. So, but if he does, if not, maybe Flanagan brings him in to write an episode. It's like, hey, do you want to write an episode during season 4?
Yes, have him write an episode for he writes the Traveler's Rest.
What was that meme that was that like the web redemptions or internet redemptions or something like that, where it would like there was a show that did it, I think, where they'd find like humiliations and stuff, and they'd bring people back to like kind of redeem themselves to
really?
whatever. It's like something like that where Flanagan just does that over the course of the 5 years, or it's just like, Darabon's directing this episode, and like whatever else. So, let's see here, and then so Sam,
so everyone gets to say vindication like Captain Holt does. Vindication.
Yeah. So Sam's doing a press tour for the Mall show, and Eric interviewed him and brought up The Mist. Flanagan doing his new adaptation of it, and Sam said, "I like Flanagan's stuff. I like the extended version of Dr. Sleep, so I wish him luck. I don't think my character would be in that because mine was really a Frank Darabont creation, which actually is something I always forget, that Jessup is not in the novel at all.
Yeah.
I have no memory of that. Was there soldiers at all, or did Darabont completely invent that?"
Yes.
Now, I might have to reread The Mist here. And he says where he was riffing off some suggestions in the Mist novella, because I know what problems Frank was solving for the film by having my character be there. I'll be interested to see how Flanagan will approach the same challenges in transferring the novella, which works beautifully by itself, but when transferring it to film, there's a few questions you have to answer. And we obviously know that even Darabont...
2 soldiers from a nearby military base are soon found to have committed suicide in the stockroom. This is the short story, not the...
So there are soldiers there.
There are soldiers.
But I don't think you get exposure to a Project Arrowhead from them, though. I think
leading
Darabont...
Ollie and David to speculate about what they knew and the much-rumored Arrowhead Project experiments conducted at the base where the soldiers were stationed. So they talk about it, and it leads to the mass hysteria. That is what kind of lets Carmody slip in and seize power, is that their suicide triggers that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I know you're...
No. So yeah, essentially that's what he's getting at, though, is like the novel doesn't really give you a lot when it comes to the Arrowhead Project.
No, the soldiers just commit suicide. So.
Yeah, and there's only speculation and stuff, whereas Darabont wanted to lean into it. Although I do remember there was actually some, it was not Vespi, one of the people, someone was talking about, they were on set and they were debating, do we have this Arrowhead scene at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
And the person's like, no, absolutely not. You can't do that. Like, that would be stupid. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. And like, none of that was like the main censure, but there was like 2 entrenched groups of like, no, we should show this, no, we shouldn't type thing. So it's like, sound like Darabont almost had the fucking, maybe even seeing the outbreak happen at Arrowhead or something.
Oh,
so
that would be, I would be okay with that.
I wouldn't. I think it's so much better just to let it happen, because like it's kind of like it's 2 of my worst, or actually wait, maybe not. The Predator the original. I hate the fact you see the spaceship at the beginning. The movie would have been it's a perfect movie nearly anyway, but that's like one of the few like bugs in the ointment. Like, just don't show me that. And doesn't The Thing show a thing at the very beginning too, that like a flying saucer or something? Or am I conflating Predator?
I don't think so.
Okay. So it's Predator though, but it's that kind of thing where it's just like, don't do it, because then just let the mystery of the whole thing come out of it itself. So, let's see. Next up, we got one that I am, let's see, make sure I've got the right order here. Here we go. It is this one. All right. So this is not news necessarily, but there's a little bit of an update. Stephen King's best character of the 21st century has a TV show in development. We already knew about this. This is from Guy Howie from Screen Rant on April 6, 2026. So again, not entirely new. We covered the fact that the novel Holly had been is going to be adapted for TV. The writer recaps that Holly is pretty huge in modern novels and has been adapted twice with 2 different actors. But Jack Bender is working on a TV adaptation of the novel Holly, and it has been now been in development for 3 years. Which, how the fuck is that a thing that's been in development for 3 years now?
Jeez.
You would have asked me, I would have said like, oh yeah, that was like 6-8 months ago. But nope. It's been 3 years. It's been slow going, but Bender has been actively working on the Institute. The thing is, the thing that this says that's worth noting is he says fans can rest assured that there's that this is coming sooner rather than later, and that's the thing that I really want. Main reason I wanted to cover it is because the writer actually said that. I'm like, I don't know what information he has, but with all the stuff we're still waiting on, that some of the stuff we have on our list are still shit that was announced pre-COVID that we've not seen any movement on. It makes me wonder if maybe after season 2 of the Institute wraps, if Jack Bender is transitioning over to doing Holly. So also I find it interesting because Bender was actually involved in both Holly projects previous. He produced both Mr. Mercedes and the Outsider. So I would say most likely if we were going to get a recurrence, it's probably not going to be Cynthia Erivo because she's become a lot bigger in Hollywood. So chances are you're not going to be able to rope her into coming back to do this role. But just Justina Lupe, maybe. With Jack Bender being involved. Also, this is more fan theory, or not fan theory, but this is more just like geeking out. Can you imagine? What if Jack Bender brought Holly into season 2 of the Institute?
Ooh.
Not like massive, huge character, but it's like we're kind of in a realm where a lot of the book's already been covered, where it's like you can kind of do your own thing. What if he created his own connected universe and like Holly Gibney ends up like investigating and maybe even brought Justina Lupe in and could you imagine, dude? We would lose our fucking minds.
We would. Absolutely.
It'd be part 2 of The Outsider. Peter, you need to read this book right now.
That's what it was.
It would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if you hadn't been watching the show and I got to that moment, I'd be like, Peter, it's in the middle of season 2, but you are watching the show right now.
Stop what you're doing. Call out of work for the next 3 days. Watch the show.
watch everything. So, oh man.
Call me as soon as you're done.
Yeah.
No, don't call me. Text me.
Yeah, text me when it happens.
Yeah.
What happens? This again?
Honestly, at that point, if anything that involving Stephen King, if I got from you, you have to drop everything, read or watch this right now, and it's a Stephen King thing, and you say, text me when it happens, I'm going to be like, fuck, does Holly show up? It's like a story about dragons and other worlds. I'm like, how the hell did Holly get here?
Then suddenly the Tommy knockers start showing up.
Oh my, dude, I'd burn it. I'd burn it down. I got really annoyed. I was looking at Audible earlier, seeing like when the next Harry Potter fullcast comes out, and it's like, we think
it's coming out soon, isn't it?
4 days.
Yeah, I thought it was coming up quick.
It said it said we think you might like this based off of your recent listens, and it said Tommy Knockers, and I was like, I almost uninstalled the app right there. Just delete my profile and just be like, no, never again.
Oh, that's hilarious. Next one here. Stephen King says that he doubts he'll be remembered after he dies.
No, it's not. No, that's not. No.
So this is from Richard Chadowski from Parade magazine on April 7th, 2026. First of all, I thought the headline was total poppycock. Maybe King is just being humble here, but exactly your reaction. I actually thought you might have the same reaction. So I was like, I had the same thing when I saw the headline. I'm like, come on,
how the
King.
fuck is he not going to be remembered?
So the article talks about how there are a few people as universally as recognized today, living today as King, but King is not sure that's going to last. King mentioned to an interviewer that historically most popular fiction writers from the past failed to achieve any lasting longevity. With that in mind, he doubts he'll even be recognized by readers 50 years after his death,
there's too many adaptations alone to make it so that he's forgotten.
Yeah, so it quote, I don't think about legacy very much, King admitted. I don't understand why there would possibly be one. When you're a popular novelist, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do the best job I can, and I always try to find something to say. If you're not saying something that you care about, then why bother? But there are very few popular novelists who have a life after death. I think that a couple of horror novels might last, but they might read 50 or 100 years from, or that they might read 50 or 100 years from now. The Shining, Salem's Lot, and It are the ones that he mentions. I would disagree. I think there's more than that. They'll be read 100 years from now. But either. But then he went on and says, if you ask people, though, what vampires do you know? And they'll say Dracula. Well, who invented Dracula? I don't fucking know. And it's kind of what he's surmising, that most people don't know where Dracula originated. So 50 or 100 years from now, people will say, oh, Pennywise the clown? Yeah, sure. But who the hell's Stephen King? They just won't know. And like, honestly, in that realm, I kind of see where he's getting at.
I do.
So,
Yeah.
but
that's not anyone. That's not everyone.
and that's what I was going to say. So honestly, my last note, and this isn't part of the article, I was being very skeptical, man. I see where he's coming from, but the pop culture side, now I'm going to caveat it by saying, I understand that pop culture's barely 100 years old when it comes to movies and television stuff. But in that 100 years, the memory seems pretty long. Like, people still talk about Kurosawa, Hitchcock, and I know that's not even that long ago, relatively.
It's
like,
60 years for Hitchcock.
No, I know, but we're
So-
not. But do we talk about people from the 19 teens and 20s movies as much?
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah,
Icons.
I'm not
absolutely
saying
we
no.
do.
I'm saying though, you are seeing a degradation though. You can't nearly name 5 or 6 of them like you could from like the 50s or 60s.
No.
So, but I will say though, so far with film and television, it seems the memory seems a little bit longer than literature. But also, I'm going to fully caveat that by saying yes, we have around 100 years of history versus literature is thousands of years. So
I will also point out that what King is pointing to with Bram Stoker's Dracula, there's not interviews with Bram Stoker Dracula on Good Morning America and The Tonight Show.
yeah,
and
there's going to be dozens of
there's-
hours of interviews. There's going to be
there's hundreds of hours also.
there's college courses right now
of-
that go into Stephen
Yes,
King right
so
today, and he's still alive. So.
I would argue that while I understand what he's saying, that on the whole, the zeitgeist is going to forget who invented Pennywise and Jack Torrance and Randall Flagg and all these different evil pieces of shit.
You keep my boy's name out of your mouth.
He is an evil piece of shit. You
No.
can't deny that.
He's a lovable character.
No, he's not. Just like you're not. Don't ever forget it. But I think that there is yes, it's also the same thing when you walk up to someone who's wearing a Nirvana shirt. You say, hey, I love Nirvana. What's your favorite song? And they go, it's a band?
Well,
Yes, there's people like that.
I'm going to
but
hold my comments on it.
there's also someone who's asking the question.
No, yeah,
And
but
so that's where it's like,
yeah,
I understand.
I get where he's coming
I
from.
get where he's coming from, but I'm sorry. King is a lot bigger than just his novels. Let's be perfectly
and that
honest.
again, that's where my caveat came in. Of my argument would be that maybe film and television will remember him forever, but I will say though, we have a very limited base of data. Again, we have like about 100 years, a little over 100 years of film and television.
Yeah.
And like, so that's almost nothing. That's like saying like, hey, a 50-year-old and some 10-year-old goes, I know way more than you. And it's like, I have socks older than you. Like, it's that kind of thing with literature, looking at film and television. It's like, yeah, it's
Right.
like, I've had a cold last longer than you have existed.
Yeah.
So like,
I got hemorrhoids older than you, boy.
yeah, so that's like the only caveat I'll give is, but I do believe that potentially King is pretty fucking big and iconic
Yes.
in the film and television realm. And so it would, in my opinion, with what we've seen so far, and also we are very biased, obviously, with the fact we're doing this podcast and the fact that we're also in the life of King right now. So who knows what 50 or 100 years looks like, but I see where King's coming from. We know he is a literature guy to
Yeah.
begin with. Like, that is his true passion and stuff. So
And I
it's like,
think that's where he's coming from, is he's thinking as an author. But I like what Baraki said. Our pop culture history doesn't disappear more like it did even 50 years ago. So long as the internet is eternal, so will King be. And I
yeah.
think that's the big thing that King's forgetting about is, man, it's different even from the 90s, because the internet doesn't you can't if it's on the internet, it's there forever.
Yeah. And here's the thing, let's be honest. Let's just hope that Bangor just gets renamed King after he dies. They just rename the town.
It just becomes King
Maine.
Maine.
It'd be the best town I'd move there. Even though it's where Derry's based on, I'd still move there.
You wouldn't catch me dead living there. Not a chance.
Well, we're gonna
in
be
hell.
there at some point. We gotta go.
Oh God, I want to. so bad.
We got to at some point for sure. So let's jump on over to the odds and ends here. The first one, exciting for the physical media folks. Toby Hooper's Salem's Lot is getting actually now has a 4K Arrow release. Came out on March
Hey.
31st. So
Still never watched it.
well, you might be owning a copy here pretty soon because I will probably be
You're
buying
getting
this.
the 4K.
Yes. Look at that beautiful cover, man.
That is a great cover.
Next up,
I think we're watching Salem's Lot this year.
next up, The Running Man has been absolutely crushing it on streaming. It is pretty much in the last like month or so since it hit has been consistently in like the top 3 for Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely destroying the stuff on there now. Last up here on the odds and ends, there's a hit show on Netflix that's getting a lot of King. It's getting a comparison to some King stuff. The show is called Something Very Bad is Going to Happen. Sorry.
I've heard about this.
It's eight-part series. It's also getting some Flanagan comps because it's like an 8-part horror series apparently.
Okay.
So 8-part horror series for Netflix. Yeah. But
Flanagan, what did you do?
But a lot of people are saying that this is very, very, very much Carrie meets Get Out. Jordan Peele's Get Out.
I still need to watch that.
And I believe it's like, I think it's number 1 on Netflix right now. It's like the best thing on Netflix apparently right now. I've had people at work tell me about it and stuff, so I might have to throw that on tonight or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have time? Do you have time, Ted? I know how.
I mean,
busy you
after
are.
this now probably.
Yes.
But I had to watch 2 things for our shows this week.
We had a little bit of busy.
Yeah, it's been a busy weekend, but didn't see any Uncle Stevie recommends. I will say I didn't necessarily dive in too deeply on that. But either way, that is that'll end up. Let me see. Actually, I forgot. I actually built an outro thing. It's just the same as the intro screen. But so yeah, that'll do it for the episode. A lot of fun stuff. I knew that first article would take up a good chunk of the time because it's in-depth Dark Tower article and like.
It definitely sparked some conversation, that's for sure.
Yeah, and ultimately, like we are, we cover a lot of King stuff nowadays, but at our roots, we'll always be a Dark Tower podcast first and foremost.
Yep.
I don't know, and talk about Jake. I mean, you just happened to read, that, which I'm glad you read it when you did, because that sparked some conversation as well. So if you would have read that, in a week from now, the chances of you actually,
damn it,
because now you got to wait until next month, until whatever. So, so let's go ahead and hit the outro stuff real quick. First of all, if you want to subscribe to us, you can do that on any podcasting service of your choice. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. You can join us for the live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Of course, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. I think I forgot to mention that in the announcements.
No, you did.
Did I mention? Did I say that? Okay, I don't know why that feels like I'm saying it for the first time today. And then you can find the show notes.
We've had a lot of discussion today.
Yeah, find the show notes over at darktowerpalaver.com. You can also support the show at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And then if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
The best way to reach us is through email at show@darktowerpalaver.com if you're not going to join us live like Tad said. And then check us out on our socials. We got Threads and Instagram, Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. We're on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. On Twitter, we're at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And merch is available at tpublic.com/users/darktowerpalaver. And I did check while we were in the episode. There's a sale going on right now.
Oh,
on
yeah.
TeePublic.
That's good. I actually need to get me a new Dark Tower shirt. Mine's getting kind of worn out and
Get
shit.
yourself
so.
the proper one. #Tad is terrible.
Well, I would never buy slander, of course.
It's not slander, sir. It's truth.
Truth,
the
like
truth shall set you free.
Like old Bill sending his brother out there.
You motherfucker.
All right. With that, we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
Boy. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you. R.I.P. Ermont, thank you, Baraki. Thank you for that. Gotta love that. Agamorphy earlier, I think we had some other people just silently listening, which is totally okay, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys all for joining us, for being part of the conversation. And we'll be back next time for the ashes of Charlie Tree. Next episode is
back with the quartet out of the story.
Or that's true, yeah, because we do need it. I don't know if it'll be next episode when we actually get to the rest of the story. For Roland's backstory.
What happened with Gabrielle.
So, yes. Gonna go approach, well, we could say it here because it's a round table, approaching the Emerald City, which they don't know
Another appearance of Flag.
Yes, indeed. Can't wait. Love it. Can't
Gross.
wait. All right. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.